Preparing the
PCP.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Crastinators podcast. I'm the best guy ever, and we've got some people here with me. We've got Monkey Jones.
Holy shit! Welcome to the PCP podcast. I'm your host, Monkey Jones, and I am joined by Digibro.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, to Insufferable Social Media Argument, the podcast. I am your host, Digibro, and I'm joined by the Hypocrite.
And that's the end of the podcast, everybody. Thank you for watching this very concise podcast. We didn't need to say any words at all.
So rude. Don't forget our good friend, the Devu, is here.
Well, I wanted to do that joke, and I didn't know who was going to say my name.
Shit-eating munch butt fuck bitches podcast. Here is everybody.
Yeah.
Hey!
So today's topic is a technical one that some of us are more familiar with than others, and it's writing concisely. You know what? I should have beat around the bush for like an hour before I got to saying that. I really fucked up. I should have done that. But that's what it is.
That sounded like
Munchie
Munchie laughing.
It did. I like Devu's like in the distant background laughing like he's off doing something else, still listening.
No, I pulled the fucking mic away from myself because I knew it would have spiked.
Oh, okay.
Every time you've done that, I always assume it's quieter because you throw your head back and laugh as loud as you can upwards, and that's why
I
it
got
sounds
fucking
quieter.
owl DNA, man.
Yeah.
I imagined he's like pacing in the back of his room whenever he's not talking, trying to think of what to say next.
And then he bum rushes at the mic like, oh, it's
Yeah.
time to go.
Exactly.
I think
well,
there's
really,
been some
that
podcast
sounds
where
more
I
like
did that,
Munchie.
yes.
I'm sure you have. So,
Devu,
okay.
turn yourself up a little. I can't hear you as
Turn me
clearly.
up? Okay.
No, Devu.
Hi, I'm closer to the microphone now.
yeah,
Is
there
that
you go.
good?
Yeah,
now
that's
it's
good.
sound
sexy.
I'll just keep looking
Okay,
at my
well,
waveform.
let's stop fucking around here, people.
No, we have
let's
to
talk
be as
about...
unconcise as possible.
This isn't even non-concise. This is just off-topic completely. Totally irrelevant.
Well,
you can't even make that.
Well, that is relevant to this point because
true.
I think people, when they think of concise, they don't exactly know what it means.
Right, okay.
Because when we talk about concise writing, it's about how quickly you can sort of make a point and like just clearly communicate your intentions without beating around the bush and stuff. And
Right.
like there's a huge difference between going off topic or even being long-winded. Like you can be long-winded and concise, I think. I haven't looked at the definition of concise recently. I don't know if it has to be short. But like for instance, I often get accused of by that anime snob that
My
the man who
hero.
does, yes, my hero, but that anime snob whose videos are all under 10 minutes long, and he gives me lots of shit for my videos being longer. And he often says that, like, you know, brevity is the soul of wit and stuff like
Wow,
that.
he's
you
so
know.
smart, dude. He's
Yeah.
so smart.
His
I mean,
videos are
he's-
just 20-second segments from other people's videos. Like, what does he even
Yeah.
do?
Well, that's the thing, is that he keeps his stuff so short that he never makes a point. And it's not that he's necessarily concise, it's just that he's brief.
Hey, you know what?
You know?
Yeah, that's interesting because I just went to UrbanDictionary.com, our home base, to look up the definition of concise, and it is relevant to this. So the full definition here is concise: to be brief but inclusive, able to sum up a topic succinctly without elaboration or superfluous detail. And so the point here is you have to be making a real point in order to be
Exactly.
concise, and if that is lacking, then you're just being brief, I guess.
Yeah, it's how much useful, interesting, worthwhile shit is packed in per minute or
It's like
per
the density.
unit of media.
Conciseness measures the
Exactly.
density of your topic.
And like
speech.
whereas that anime snob will often he'll take a lot of different points and make individual videos about all of them. I'll just put them all in one.
Right.
You know, it's not that my writing
So who's
is
really
not
being more concise?
Yeah, I'm not being concise. I'm just making a lot of points in a row, you know. And that's what he doesn't seem to understand.
There can be lots
By
of
the way,
there can be
folks-
lots of works out there that are really verbose and really long-winded, but don't come off like you're wasting your time as long as you're interested in all the material out there. You know,
You know what
there
I
may
would
be
argue
some
is a
there may be
I
some
was-
very popular harem anime franchise out there that might have a lot of long-winded conversations, or maybe some
Yeah, Boku no
multimedia
Pico.
webcomic
Dude,
that I've been reading that might have a lot of long-winded conversations. But if all those conversations are really fucking interesting, then shut up. It's good. It's long.
It's just that
but
it's
a
really
whole
hard
lot
for
of
people
good.
to meaningfully fill large amounts of dialogue with actual interesting things to say. And like anime, often I'll see like any shonen series. I always talk about this. Like a shonen series will start off with a lot of interesting things to say because all the thought goes into the premise of the show or the manga or whatever, and then like they just get away from that. Like I don't know the thing.
I think that's part of what makes like Hunter x Hunter special, or even Yu Yu Hakusho, is that every battle is concise in those shows. Where like there's just a shitload of battles. Like you watch Yu Yu Hakusho or Hunter x Hunter. What always struck me about those shows is no fight ever lasts more than one episode. Well, that's not true of early Yu Yu Hakusho, but Hunter x Hunter and what's another show I was thinking of that did the same thing?
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. There's
Artemis Fowl.
there's certain shows where like a fight is always like at most an episode to an episode and a half, and it doesn't give you time to get tired of it. It just gets in, shows off these cool powers,
right,
and like makes the point and goes, you know. And like so many people will give shonen anime shit just for being so long, but like how is it long? Is it long like DBZ where it really is just wasting a lot of fucking time,
right?
Or is it long like Yu Yu Hakusho where it keeps making new points?
Well, dude, there's two shows
powers,
that I'm going to bring out as great examples of I think is great concise writing, and one is of course Gurren Lagann, because so much happens every episode of Gurren Lagann. It really moves the pace forward at a wonderful brisk pace, does not waste your fucking time. And the other one is High School of the Dead. And I really think High School of the Dead, I made that Mia Maffa episode about it, is really great. And I didn't talk about it as much, but
that show definitely makes a point in every episode.
Every single episode. Like, there's probably, like, people would often think that because it's a zombie show, it's going to, like, waste your time and be a bunch of faffing around, like, oh, zombie fights all the time. But no, like, it's real human drama. All these characters are developing every single episode. You can see them changing and evolving over time. And, like, the directing's great. It's super hype. There's intense moments all the time. It's got, the crazy fan service and action happening all the time.
Yeah.
It really, again, that's a show that does not waste a second of your time. You feel like you're learning something every time you're watching.
I want to say something about, like, Devu was implying that, not implying, saying it was a webcomic, right? It's Homestuck he's been reading. Could you say, despite its length, that Homestuck is concise?
I would not.
You
say
I think
could
so.
probably tell all the fucking conversations of Act 5 in a much more linear, condensed fashion. It just wouldn't be nearly as funny, and you wouldn't get to know all the characters
So,
nearly as
I
much.
mean,
because I'm toward the end of Act 5 now, and it's like what actually happens in Act 5 gets summarized by the self-insert vector in like a couple of pages, and it's like, okay, this is actually pretty straightforward plot. It's just told really fucking out of order, to hilarious effects.
The thing that I'm thinking of is like it's not being brief. It's different from just being brief. It's different from cutting things out. Like you could argue that a lot of the things in Homestuck that seem stupid eventually become relevant. So like how much is I don't get it. I mean, all you guys are talking about conciseness like you know what it means. I don't really understand it. I don't think.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, it's essentially as I explained. It's just like not. It's a consistent presentation of new ideas as opposed to reiterating the same idea.
Gib, you ever watch like Inuyasha or Ranma 1/2?
Nope.
Any of that kind of shit? No?
No.
Okay,
Well, you've seen Dragon Ball Z, right?
I've read it.
I don't know if he has.
I haven't.
Reading it's actually way better than watching it.
Yeah.
There's like in Dragon Ball Z, for example, the classic thing is that like a single fight that maybe took out like a couple chapters in the manga, like gets dragged out for like four. The classic thing is the Frieza battles at the end of like the first arc of DBZ. Like it takes like so many episodes for just, and barely anything happens in those episodes. It is such a waste of your time to like actually sit through and
Yeah,
watch
but that's
all
the
that
thing.
shit.
Like that's why I'm thinking like Homestuck. So much of it is so great and interesting, and it's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a waste
Well,
of time.
Homestuck's not like that. Homestuck is actually making like
Like
jokes
it goes
and
on for
funny
so
things are
long, and
happening.
it goes through things like
But in
more
case we
than one
weren't clear,
time.
Devu was arguing that Homestuck was concise.
Yeah.
With
if you
good
weren't
stuff.
clear on that.
It's
Okay.
not concise with like a conventional, normal like plot that you would understand as a normal
Sure.
thing. It's just concise with characters being manic idiots
personally
for
would-
hours.
I would argue that Homestuck does have moments where it does kind of just hammer on the same. Some of those conversations are like the exact same conversation you read earlier. Like there are moments where it does push it a little bit, but I do think the story has so much going on that like it deserves to be as long as it is.
Though it's appropriate to say that conciseness does not necessarily mean better in all cases, of course.
Yeah,
true. I would say that Homestuck really adds a lot of flavor by having, like, it is about a bunch of teenage drama stuff happening between kids. Right. It makes sense that wouldn't be concise. These kids waste a lot of everyone's fucking time, mostly their own. So,
but yeah, and like I said, it's about what it deserves. Like with Dragon Ball, like, because the manga exists and everything, like, we know Dragon Ball Z didn't need to be as long as it is. We know you could have told the same story
and proved that without a doubt.
Exactly. Like, we know you can do it without taking up that much time. So to me, that's what concise is. It's like, tell the story or write your thing, whatever you're doing. Just do it in the smallest amount of time that you need. And that's, people don't understand that you do need some humanity in there. You need some extra. And like I talked about this in my video about how I learned how to write gooder, where I in like 2010 I became obsessed with simplifying my writing, and like I cut it down until it was like just the bare essential language needed to communicate the point, but it felt like a fucking robot, you know? And so like So I started going back in and adding in phrases and like adding in stuff that just, especially for my videos, stuff that just sounds right to somebody. Like, it engages your brain in a different way. Like, you need to have some time.
Like, you know who are nice and concise? You know those videos Davu keeps posting about, like, a robot obviously made this video. Like, those are concise, and that's they don't fuck around. They really tell you the top 10 best waterfalls across the United States.
No, hold the fuck on. They're not that concise. The robots don't know shit about fuck. They'll just be like, number 12, person who obstinately refused to tear down their house as Chinese highways are trying to be built. This person really stood up for themselves and didn't stand down to the man. Number 11, this guy really goes to show how much society can't progress when some people are stubborn. I'm like, shut up, robot, get your fucking point. So, you know, like what Digi was saying, I think there's like 4 like steps that people go through to like master an art. Step 1 is you just learn how to basically do anything. You learn how to basically write, put together a little bit of music, put together a little bit of painting. It starts out small, and then as you get more ambitious and more skilled, you make something big and cumbersome and bloated. And then you start learning how to refine your skills, and you just get smaller and smaller until it's this perfect condensed ball that doesn't have much breathing room. And then you use your newfound perfection skill to just slowly weave stuff back out. It's like watching like an explosion in like an anime where like it goes whoosh, and then it sucks back in, and then it slowly whooshes out again. That's what art skill is.
Yeah, Daikon, like the whole Earth.
The trees go like.
That was very concisely put, Dabu. That was good.
Only meant to stay a while. It's either real or it's a dream.
Somebody made me. Oh, it was our good friend, a Ukrainian, the artist boy, made a drawing of like someone when you were posting those pictures of. I was gonna say, by the way, Digi's calling in live from GuyCon 2017 here in scenic Cincinnati.
Yeah, GayCon. Cool.
And because it was called GuyCon,
you don't need to change it to GayCon. GuyCon already sounds like a gay convention.
That's true.
Is this GuyCon 3 or GuyCon 4?
That was the thing. Somebody posted. This guy posted GuyCon 5, and then Ukrainian drew a picture of me on the fucking skateboard, just being like, "I only meant to stay a while," as I was like wearing the bunny suit and flying through the sky. It's great. Thank you, Ukrainian. You're a gift. You're a gift. Anyway, let's get back to. So I don't know. Why don't we talk about like the way that we try to be concise writers?
I want to say one thing. Okay. Like, we're saying that conciseness can be bad. What is the worst concise thing? Like, the too concise. The thing that is way too concise
when Ben tells a story and cuts out all the interesting parts of it and just tells you the facts. I went here, I fucked this dude, I went home. Done.
Fuck this dude.
Ben's
virginity story was definitely too concise. I mean, it's just that... Sorry,
there's an art to storytelling,
you know? Spoke it all.
I was going to say, like, going off of what Nate said, if we're going to talk about how we're concise, or do you want to talk first about art or about analysis? Because I think if there's a fan at home of the PCP, they're probably high school or college age. They have to write a lot of essays. And what's scary about being concise in an essay is you usually have, you have to do 8 pages. So how can you be both concise and stretch that shit out to 8 pages?
Just worry about that.
Do you guys have any advice for that? All the high school
is trying to teach you to do is just to learn, is just to get the basic discipline of typing shit out. It's only when you get into college that they start telling you to actually how to write good. School,
Well, that's-
school,
yeah, I would
the
say-
mediocre system of this world only wants you to have base level mediocre competence by the time you're 18. And maybe if you work really hard and put all of your future life savings into this degree, then you can be decent in your late 20s.
I'll tell you, Devu, like, while, you know, I learned how to be concise because of an English teacher, but I was taking like, that class was to learn how to be a better writer, and most college classes won't teach you that. They want you to learn how to write a college paper, which means pumping in as much frivolous bullshit as humanly possible to reach 50,000 words. Like, if you look at, like, Cider talking about his thesis, like you inherently, through working your way up through school, you will learn how to bullshit. You will learn how to stretch things out. I learned how to do that back in high school. And here's my advice. If all they give you is a minimum word count, don't try to be concise ever. If they give you a minimum word count, write as many ways of saying the exact same shit as you can to reach that word count.
Jesse, what the fuck are those clicking noises I'm hearing in the background? What are you doing? What is that?
Is Jesse here?
Yeah, I see.
I am also in this episode, everyone.
Yeah.
Hello. I wasn't going to say anything, but Nate revealed
Mute your
me.
mic so we don't hear you chewing.
It sounds like you're eating Tic Tacs. It sounds like you're just down to Tic Tacs.
I'm fucking around with shit.
Jesse's always
Okay,
done that.
great.
Welcome to the
whole era
Procrastinators
of
podcast.
Jesse on podcast. He's always like flipping a screw around into other screws on his desk. We're just doing
I remember
that shit all the
to white
time, too.
noise.
I'm fucking building infiltration tools. I'm fucking living Persona 5. That's what I do. I stay at my desk and I
Yeah.
create tools to infiltrate people's palaces.
Hey, I think you're the only person I know who's played Persona 5. Is it good? How's it going?
It is good. It's pretty.
Okay.
Now that's a topic. Now that's a.
Well, this is not the
listen to
Persona 5
Persona
cast, everybody.
5
Yeah, well,
podcast. It could be.
It could be, except that you're the only
he's
one
the
who's
only one
played
who's
it.
played it, yeah.
My favorite persona is when in Ape Escape 3 you can turn into a knight. That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
What
so
was I talking about before we...
You're saying
know.
if they give you a minimum word count, you
Oh,
should
yeah,
be as
yeah.
frivolous as possible.
Yeah, if they give you a minimum word count and no maximum, go apeshit. If they give you a maximum word count, that's where you gotta start worrying about it. Because that's why I learned to be concise, is I had gotten so used to trying to pump as many words into a paper as possible, and just, like, writing, you know,
Dude,
unhinged
at no
whatever.
point in my life have I ever had a maximum word count. I think that could be
Yeah.
why I'm such a fucking ridiculously
Yeah,
shitty, never cut my words down
This
writer.
teacher I had, like, he told us to write a story about a... what was it? It was like, write a story about a teacher who you learned something from, or some shit.
Oh, he's
like
just
that.
trying to beat himself off. Everybody write about
no,
me.
This was like it was the first paper
Okay,
we had to write
okay.
for the class, and it was something like that. I know that's what I wrote about. I don't know if that's what the topic was, but he said like 700 to 1,000 words, and I wrote like 1,300. And I turned, and I'm thinking like, I surpassed your word count, buddy. Like,
Yeah.
I'm even better. 1,000 words, that's nothing to me. And he's like, no, I wanted this to be 700 to 1,000. Like, you went over. You need to go through this and like simplify it. And so I took out a bunch of words. I got it down to like just over 1,000. And he reads it, and he's like, there's still a lot of stuff in here. Like he points out some stuff that's like unnecessary. And I was like, yeah, now that I think about it, that is unnecessary. And I work it down to like 700 words, and it was like a tight little piece, and it was much better.
Cool.
Like, I'm reading over it, and I'm like, wow, my original fucking blew
The
because I
moral
didn't
being,
try to
never,
control myself
ever,
at all, you know?
Ever go to school. No one should ever do that.
So yeah, like the whole conciseness thing, there's not like any like it's not like some sort of magic different way that things can be good or bad. It's just a different lens of how to approach removing things that are not good and adding only things that are good. You know, I think that's I feel like that's part of what makes cartoons, Western cartoons, better now than they were like in the previous era, where a lot of cartoons would just have a lot of episodes that don't matter much. But then you see
Steven Universe.
But then you see
Oh, no. Fuck you.
No, I'm talking about you're doing it backwards. All right, listen. For a couple of minutes, you have to all agree with me for the point to be made. So in shows
Okay.
now, like Adventure Time, it feels like they're really trying to make only awesome stuff happen. Whereas I honestly feel like when I look at a lot of older shows, they're like, well, I guess this episode something just kind of okay will happen. They're just
Talking
really
about like
unambitious.
Thundercats,
Yeah, it's
He-Man,
just-
Masters of the Universe
I
kind of
don't
shit.
know. just make only the cool stuff happen. Just try to cheat, you know. Just make a dessert that's nothing but chocolate and vanilla, you know.
But not
Just
every
make something
cartoon
that
has
just
like a
cheats the
continuous
system.
storyline and character progression and shit. Like sometimes you just want to see SpongeBob hang out at the Krabby Patty.
Yeah, but do the best ones of that.
Hang out at the Krabby
Yeah,
Patty.
you know,
Yeah.
just
Oh,
hanging
as
out.
opposed to the Krusty Krab. Right.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with Devu on that point, because that's what I've always struggled with like a lot of longer shows is like, for instance, Ranma 1/2, as you brought up earlier, as a show that's not at all concise. There's just so much fucking wasted time in that show. It's 160 episodes, and like the first like 20 tell this really like compelling romance story. And then the last, like throughout the show, there's about 60 episodes that are like great out of 160.
Which is pretty good.
There's
I
about
guess.
96 that like you like should watch, and there's about 60 that you just shouldn't, you know. And like
You have
it's
a chart
because
for
they'll
this,
just
right?
be.
You have an actual post, right? Breaking
Yeah, I
down
made
each
a-
episode
Oh, you
that's
made
worth
one.
I
watching.
made a watching guide for Ranma. Like it's like, you know, here's like the minimum you should watch. Here's like each different tier of episodes essentially, and the ones that you shouldn't watch, it's because they just boil it down to like basically Flanderize the characters. A perfect
Right.
example is the second Ranma 1/2 movie, which is fucking dog shit, and it like. All the movie consists of is the most basic idea of what each character is, like just using the most obnoxious running gags.
It's kind of like the movie effect, because movies are always afraid to like challenge the status quo, so there will
Exactly.
be no development in a lot
Yeah.
of movies like that.
and just not even doing anything with the characters, because like the best episodes of the show are where you see them change a little
Course,
bit, or you
course.
see some kind of small insight into who they are, whereas the worst episodes are when they're just being like, again, Flanderized, like just like what is this character known for? Oh, she always trips and falls on the main character and calls him a baka inu, you know, like that's something that has to happen every episode. So then you get a movie and it's just that. It's just and it did it with like every character in the show, which there's a huge cast.
So it's kind of a complete waste of time.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
Exactly.
hell, fucking
Yeah.
SpongeBob does the same thing. The first 3 seasons have like, let's say 20 ideas, and it's been like 50 seasons now, and they're still just cycling through the same ideas for some reason. I just realized.
Okay, but SpongeBob's a little
The
different.
intro
like
to
a
this
comedy.
episode should be the preparing the Krabby Patty dramatic intro thing, because that's very unconcise. It's like just making you sit around
But that's the
waiting for
point. That's like anti-humor.
I know,
or
it's
something.
great. That should be the intro. Just saying, guys.
Okay.
Tell that to
it's-
whoever edits this.
Whoever, Ben, I guess.
I'll
Probably
edit
Ben. Okay, there you go. You and Ben are really fighting over this editing spot. This is good. Challenge Ben. Make Ben into a real boy, please. Make him work for something in his life. Yeah, okay, cool. But I do like it. Well, I think there's a place for shows like SpongeBob that, I mean, they don't challenge their status quo at all. Like, but they're completely focused on being, you know, sort of consumable pop entertainment that just brings you, I don't know, like you're not learning anything watching a SpongeBob episode about
SpongeBob
any of the
focuses on the
characters.
11 minutes of the episode rather than like a season-long story arc.
Yeah.
So it's not really
Which is
comparable
fine.
to like
Which is
Steven
fine.
Universe or
I
Adventure Time.
do think it's comparable,
Right.
and I mean, like,
You do think it is?
I mean, Ranma 1/2 is the same story. Like, it doesn't really have an ongoing plot.
Well, it's that Ranma mixes in like that character development stuff, because there is like a thing where we're waiting for like relationship
Honestly,
development in
the
Ranma.
first 16 episodes of Ranma is all the development in the show. Like,
not
after
surprised.
episode 16, it just cuts off, and like, because the development that happens supposedly is just the same thing over and over again. It's just the
Right.
characters realizing that, oh, maybe we do love each other, but then it goes back to status
I mean,
quo.
I'm
right
not
at
as
the end of the
familiar
episode.
with Ranma, but
But
like,
here's a better example. Futurama. Like, there's
Okay.
certain episodes we all remember of Futurama.
Right.
Either because they're the really dramatic ones, or they're the ones that are so hilarious and, like, over the top with their concept and really did something unique and interesting. But there's other episodes of Futurama that are just, like, just whatever, dick around, like, do the same thing we've done in a million other
Yeah.
episodes, and, like, no one remembers those ones.
I
You know?
think, you know, those, some people are annoyed by those. I love almost everything about Futurama, and I think it's because, again, it has a more comedic tone, and it can get away. Like, you're never going to be super disappointed when there's just a Futurama episode that's just, if it's just hilarious,
I mean, even
then
the
it's
baseline
great.
of the show is pretty good. And,
Yeah,
like, a
yeah.
show that I think is very close to All Killer No Filler is Rick and Morty.
Right, for
where,
sure.
like, you know, we've got two seasons, and there's like maybe 3 episodes that I would be like, I don't know if I want to watch that one if I was marathoning.
I don't even know if I'd go that high. I don't think there are any. I'd love them all.
I mean, I will rewatch all of them,
right,
for sure. But like, there's a couple that aren't as good as the other. Like Raising Gazorpazorp, not as many people are gonna watch that one again.
That's
true.
true.
But like, so much of it is so strong because they really do approach every episode with like, let's come up with another crazy ass idea. Like, let's always have it so it's something you never thought of. That's always gonna be like a little bit of a mind blow, even when it like repeats. Like, the whole marriage between Jerry and what's the wife's name?
Beth. Yes.
Like Jerry and Beth's marriage has been, it's kind of beating a dead horse at this point.
That's true.
But they still find new things to do with it, So like, even though it's kind of status quo-y, it's still like, by the end of the episode, you'll be like, okay, I guess you earned that one.
How specifically are you relating this to being concise?
Well, just that I think that conciseness is about presenting new ideas. Right. Yeah, like each... I think to repeat the same thing you already said is to not be concise. And like, you can draw a parallel between this in like an analytical video where it's more immediate and in a long form TV show.
Like anyone who does a long ass intro to the videos, like, this show came out in 1994 and it was pretty good.
Even that stuff's not so much a problem. It's when they say like, when I first watched this show, I didn't think it was going to be good. But then after watching it, it turns out it was
literally
good. And
filler. Just
you
get
could
to
literally
the point.
just
You
have
like
the sentence, the show is good.
Yeah.
And I did this in, I showed, there's a video of how I edited the writing for my Kemono Friends video. Because the original opening sentence was like, if you just want to know whether or not I think this show is good, the answer to that is that yes, it is good.
Right.
And so I cut all that out and wrote, Kimono Friends is good. And that's the edited version. And it literally conveys the exact same meaning.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't add or subtract anything. It's just the same sentence, but with way fewer words.
I remember, Digi, there was a time when you used to edit out literally every single gap between any words you said. Any breaths that you would cut them out and you would delete them.
Back in.
And because it became so dense with information that people. I mean, I'm not sure people had problems with it, but I did. It was a bit.
I did.
I still do that. I just did it recently because I just uploaded a big long ranting rambly podcast about Pirates of the Caribbean 5.
Yeah.
And when you're recording it, it's all coming off the top of your head and you're going on and on.
Right.
But I definitely went through meticulously and shortened the breaths and put the sentences closer to each other, like almost imperceptibly, like just like like half a second closer to each other. But when it's an entire podcast and you're doing that between every sentence, you might shave off a good like half an hour of redundancy of just listening to me like breathing between sentences.
And to be clear, I mean, I still cut out all breaths and all everything. It's just that what Hippo's referring to is, if you watch my old Pony videos, the words literally run into each other. Like a sentence, there is no space. It will be like one word finishes, and like I would edit it that way. I would edit it so the words literally ran into each other, and it's actually headache inducing to listen to. Like when the videos were like 15 minutes long and it was all like that, and I'd be going between different points with no transition or anything, and so it was like. It was hard to process, even for me. Like, I'd listen to it back and be like getting a headache. I actually had an effect sometimes where I would feel suffocated because I don't hear any space to breathe, and it's like it tricks my mind and like it fucked with me. I would actually feel like loss of breath listening to some of those episodes back.
I kind of get that when I'm listening
there's
to
another
music
review show that's always done that to spectacular effect, named at zero punctuation, named after the gimmick.
Yeah.
And he just writes it around that gimmick. It's like almost every video is like 10 seconds of a point, 10 seconds of a joke, and it's like peanut butter and jellies from one to the other constantly. So you can generally.
And I think the fact that those are only 5 minutes long helps a lot.
So you can generally get all the point if you just empathize with your audience all the time. That's sort of a higher level skill in any art medium thing, is being able to constantly simulate what it's going to feel like to the person who this is for watching.
Hey, you know who didn't do that in a big way? I didn't when I was making my Lucifer video. That video was not. It was too concise. Too concise. There you go. Yeah, for sure.
Too dense with information.
Too much information that when I was editing it in slow motion, I thought, okay, everyone's going to be able to get this, going to be able to read it, no problem. And was not the case.
That's the problem I've always had with editors that. The extra credits guys still do this occasionally, which really annoys me because I used to do it and I realized it was terrible. is to have like a pun image on the screen.
Yeah, I hate that shit.
Which relates to like a single word in a sentence, and then the viewer is then looking at this image thinking, wait, what's that got to do with it? Oh, I see. And then they've missed like the rest of the sentence and the start of the next one.
I've done some of that and not liked it in the long run as well.
Extra credits is fucking dog shit. I hate them on every level imaginable. Anyway,
when it comes to making my own things concise, I find it very difficult to imagine like when the writing is bad. Until I've recorded it and I'm listening to it and I'm like, okay, that sentence is stupid, I can cut that out because it doesn't sound right, it sounds like what I just said. So I can't read it very well, I'm not like a word guy, but when I'm listening to it, that's when I usually cut down all the extra crap.
I'm the same way, Gib. I do it the same way.
Yeah, I think perhaps the most important part of the writing process is to have somebody else read your work and tell you, yeah, you made this point like 3 paragraphs ago.
Do you do that? I think you've talked about doing that, Mumkey.
Definitely. All of my videos I do for my main channel, I have one of my friends like Asperger or somebody read through it and that kind of thing. It's really helpful.
Have friends who are actually good, who could actually... I feel like 90% of people listening are going to have friends who have no talent in this kind of thing at all and will never be good at all. And so
I think anybody can read something.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it's necessarily you have to be a linguist or whatever to know that something is not concise. If you just read it and you're like, I don't get this part, this bit's weird and stupid, that's just what the viewer will think when they're listening to it.
And Digibro has told me that, in private, he told me he loves it when fans send him work that they wrote and he loves to edit it for them and send it back.
Oh,
so
yeah,
go ahead and send that to him.
Oh, right. That's interesting because I have a different mentality about it, and I'm probably not any better, but I have this weird fetishistic desire to be independent in everything I do, or like have control over everything. So I never ask anyone for help.
Well, you can always tell them like, that you don't
have.
agree with what they said. Like, oh yeah, I see your point, but I'm going to keep it the way I wrote it.
It's like an attitude where I don't want to ever have to rely on anyone's feedback ever. I want all the skills to be contained within me. But whatever. I mean, that's just it's a small thing.
I feel kind of similar,
you can learn the skills by having some. Sorry, Gib. Like if you have a friend who can teach you those things and then you eventually learn it from them, then you will have the skill for yourself.
Well, like, I mean, okay, that makes sense. But to me, the way to do that is to make the video all the way. And, like, if there's problems with it, okay, I'll fix it the next round.
Well, yeah, I would do that, too. I wouldn't give them, like, one paragraph and be like, is this okay? I'd give them the whole thing and be like,
well, what am
what's
I going to
wrong
do?
with
Like,
this? Yeah.
I mean, what am I going to do? Like, send you my scripts and be like, Digi, is this concise? Tell me. What do you think? I don't want to do that.
What's wrong with that? Why are you proposing it like it's crazy? That's a great thing to do.
I guess because then it's not just mine anymore. Then someone
One of you guys
else
has
their
done
footprint
that,
on
right?
it.
Like, I know I've checked scripts for some of you
Not me, nigga.
before, but I don't know who.
I think I made Hippo check one of mine one time.
I know I've checked Hippo's stuff on his blog before.
Incidentally, any of you guys could send me one. I'd be happy to do it if you ever wanted
No, I'm
my
gonna
opinion. It's
fucking
just I have
fill
this.
up your
Well,
inbox.
here's the thing about that.
Okay, go for it.
Specifically, is what I was going to talk about is I don't like the idea of giving anyone an entire script because then all my jokes are spoiled, and especially any of you guys. I don't want you guys to see my script and see what I'm going for, and then not be surprised and laugh at a joke. I mean, you'd still laugh probably, but it's just I like keeping cool things a surprise, and I don't really usually like asking for help for that reason.
I mean, I get that, Hippo, but it's
spoiling
spoiling it for one person to make it better for thousands. So you just got to get around that mental block.
Guys,
that's true. But then again, I really care much more about what you guys think of my content than any of my audience, for sure. Of course.
Yeah, we are all
on a mass scale.
best
On a mass
audience
scale.
members, really.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I would trust any of you guys or anyone at all to like proofread like a YouTube video that I'm writing. Like if I'm writing a book or a novel, then yeah, I'm gonna look for an editor or someone who knows about books and novels.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm writing an Endless Jess YouTube video, nobody gets to fucking touch it but me.
I don't think anybody needs to touch yours because yours are perfect.
Well, to be fair, Jesse is not as
my
famous
own
as we don't
horn,
like
but-
him to be. And I'm sure there are some changes that Jesse could make, or any of us could make.
Oh no,
The thing is, I think is what Nate was saying is that we want it to be our own thing. So if we make a mistake, we want to personally learn from that. And I guess asking for help, if you have like a very specific like question, like sometimes I come into the chat saying, I can't think of a word that means this because I just need a word. I need a word that describes something well. And yeah.
Well, I think that getting direct advice from people is not the right idea 95% of the time, unless you are like just starting out. Because really, the best thing to do is just make it, and then sense clues and tells and signs and subtleties from the reaction that people get. Like Digi all the time will explain how he tools his videos to cater to the way that people are reacting, but scarcely does that come in the form of just doing what people say they want. It comes in the form of analyzing their reaction and coming to new conclusions that they didn't even realize.
That comes down to a lot of the classic, what was it, Prego sauce thing?
Yeah. The pasta sauce thing.
It's a principle in economics about pasta sauce, about how like basically they were trying to find new ways to make pasta sauce, and they like asked people what should we do, and people gave suggestions, and those didn't sell at all. Instead, they just made stuff up and gave it to an audience, and the audience ended up liking it. And it just goes to show how the audience does not know what they want. Of course. Like they know whether they like it or not, but they don't know what they want it to be.
You're slightly confusing two Jimquisition videos. He has one about pasta sauce, about a variety. I don't know if I've seen either. Then he has the other one about coffee, where in focus group testing, if you do a forum, if you ask people directly what kind of coffee they want, they overwhelmingly say they want a rich dark roast because that makes you sound cool. But then if you actually observe buying habits, people usually like a shitload of ice and milk and cream.
Yeah. They like weak-ass watered-down shit.
So, like, when I will all the time ask people, like, hey, what should I make a video about or something like that, but I never do anything that's suggested to me. Like, I'll ask, like, all the time. Like, I'll go on Twitter and do, like, polls or, like, ask people and then not do any of it. And instead, what I'm really trying to get is more of, like, just a sense of what people think I do. Right. You know, like almost
understanding the nuances of what makes art good is sort of what we all specialize in, and Mumkey parodies us for thinking we're so good at specializing in. Because, like, you know, I've experienced this. Make a fucking video like, hey guys, here's this game. It's called Undertale, and here's 5 reasons why it's good. And then everyone's like, that's not why it's good. It's good because good characters and the good music. It's got good music. I mean, that's why it's good. That people don't know shit about
what my audience thinks they want from me is, like, go take, like, just make another video about the next episode of Evangelion. You know, like, oh, there's got to, you talked about the first 9. There's got to be just as much to say about episode 10. Or, like, take FLCL and break it down. We know there's a lot to say about FLCL because, of course there is, you know, but, like...
Lol.
Is that actually going to be what they want when I make it? You know, is it, or am I going to go like... It's
definitely, like, judging by, like, YouTube comments, it's clear that nobody knows how to scrutinize my work correctly. They all do it wrong. So I definitely, and I think that is not just applying to me. I think that probably applies to most people. I think that you should definitely cultivate the ability to scrutinize your own work before you, like, you shouldn't have you shouldn't depend on,
Jesse,
on having other people do your stuff for you.
That is true, but you are in the entertainment business. So if people are not appreciating on a large enough scale, at some point the responsibility does fall to you.
Right, but what he's saying is that you don't listen to what they say is wrong with it.
Oh, of course not. Right. They don't know anything about what's wrong.
I mean, like, I feel like when I'm going over my own writing and I'm, you know, editing it and taking out redundancies to make it into a video mode. I mean, I might make mistakes and a few redundancies might get by me even, but I would almost rather have my mistakes left in it than have someone else fix it and have their stamp on it.
Yeah, you know, like, whenever I've made, like, a mistake
in... Like, I
would like rather
if I make, like, a mistake early on, and, like, I say a word wrong, I'd rather use that as an opportunity to do a silly editing thing to show how fallible I am. Like, something... anything to make it, like, more, like, you know... I would just work with what I have, even if I made a boo-boo.
Yeah, in the event that someone gives you constructive criticism and it actually works, it actually makes sense on its face, then follow it in the event that happens. You know, whole time I was making videos, Digi was the only one who ever gave me, like, constructive criticism that, like, made sense and was correct. And even then, I always told him that he's wrong just for artistic integrity reasons, and then just silently fix the problems later.
Oh, you've all done that to me, so it's fine. Don't worry. And
Nate's worry. This is how it's supposed to be.
Nate's never said, like, oh, I changed my titles and thumbnails explicitly because you told me to 500 times over the last 6 months.
To be fair, I've done that one time. We're talking about a grand total of one time. But it's But I mean, it's not like
we talked about it behind your back 500 times.
Davu, give me a second
Nate?
here. It's not like Da Vinci tells me, Nate, do something,
Vinci.
and I'm like,
Da Vinci. I have leveled up.
Oh,
shit.
whoa.
It's not. God damn it.
Nate has just admitted that I am the Da Vinci of YouTube.
God damn it! I would never admit that.
I just want to
Da Vinci
say
Code.
for everybody at home, hypothetically, if you happen to not be a YouTuber and maybe you're like a kid writing an essay, don't be afraid to show it to people and get advice. We're not all
true.
YouTube writers like we are.
Yeah, and I want to bring up, like, it's funny that...
Wait, no, we're not moving away until I clarify that it's not that Digi tells me to something and I do it. It's that I saw the signs were all pointing. That was me. That was all me understanding.
The signs that I was explicitly saying to everyone, guys, I've done the research. I know the results. Do this.
It's not like I'm there looking at your peer-reviewed study here. It's just a guy telling me what... All right, well, okay.
Anyways,
I made a realization. Okay, all right.
It's funny to me because Nate and Jesse and Hippo are all very much like suggesting like I want it to be my product and like it's all me and I don't want somebody else to like affect it.
Yeah.
I feel the total opposite. I will freely allow anybody's mark to be made on my video. I mean, I blatantly copy other people's styles and say so. I do videos that other people suggested. Just recently I did why I dropped every anime I dropped because some guy on Twitter said it would be a good idea and I was like, hey, let's do that. But in the biggest way, because I have Davu edit my videos and I give him literally free range. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. I don't give almost any suggestions.
I think the thing about that is that, you know, for me anyway, is that a lot of the comedy has to be like coming from me. Like if I think it's funny, it'll be like a thing like either I edit or I say it that way, or like, you know,
it's a different type of video too, you know.
It's a different process because
well sure, but like I mean a lot of what happens in my videos now is just not my ideas or comedy. It's just Davu's, and I like it more than what I would have come up with. Like
but there's also the case that if I had an editor, he might do stuff that is worse than what I would have come up with, and I would have to teach him. And at that point, because like I know I'm very funny when it comes to things like editing.
I guess did you put in the time, and Davu has been fully vetted at this point, so we know.
I mean,
if I
had
a Davu, maybe, but I don't have a Davu. There's only one.
I could be your Davu tonight. Mom and Dad will never know.
Well, I mean, I
constantly get offers of people wanting to. Sorry, did you? I constantly get offers of people, like Hippo said, of like offering to edit my videos for me, or like, you know, just decrease some of my workload and get more of my stuff out there.
Right.
But like, if I have to train someone to edit the way that I would edit, then that's like would take up just as much time and be just as redundant as me editing it myself.
It's a business cost, you know? Like, when I was working on the Galco video with this new guy, Snooping Turtle, who is great. He's wonderful. I put out on Twitter, like, hey, I'm looking for a new editor. He was one of the guys who responded. I checked out everybody's work. His, I liked the best, so we ended up working together. And, you know, like, it took time. Like, we went through the whole rigmarole of, like, going through, like, every bit, submitting to me for approval. Okay, we'd work on the next part, submit that. Okay, these some changes need to be worked in. I need to do some editing and then stick it in and send it back. But like, I was willing to do all that, not because it was super efficient at the time, but because I see a future relationship where we're doing more work together, faster, more efficiently, better. And he was interested in that, and hopefully he still is. Hopefully he hasn't changed his mind. So yeah, it's like an investment, a sort of long-term investment.
The thing I'm much more interested in personally is trying to make it so that I can get away with the least editing possible. If you watch my Demon Souls review that I made, it's basically there's nothing. I put a few GIFs on, I put some video game footage that I recorded in a live stream.
I liked your skeleton boys. They were
cool. and that was it. I just put relevant clips in, and it was great, and people really liked that because you know, I didn't need to do
big editing.
In your
Demon Souls
month,
video,
bro. What?
Just that one very simple editing choice right at the beginning of just having the skeleton gifs with the trombones along with the music.
Those are trumpets, you buffoon.
Trumpets, whatever. Tromboners. It's trombones because they're skeletons, you assy.
Oh, right.
Now, Jess, to go back to the last point you made, like you don't want somebody else to edit your stuff. I know there was some talk in this chat about having one of us help out edit the Plebe and the Weeb. Like, what did you decide on that? Do you still think like you are the only one who can do that?
Yeah, that's Well, now it's like in my mind, the Plebe and the Weeb at this point has morphed into like another aspect of the Endless Jest grand narrative. So now no one can fucking touch it.
Oh no!
Now it's trapped in my brain.
There is one episode that we had talked about having Nate edit for reasons that will become apparent when the episode releases.
Like everyone. I started to hear the rumblings like 5 months in, like where the fuck are these episodes? So
the only reason you didn't hear the rumblings earlier is because people keep asking me instead of you. I guess,
but then they found out.
I guess I didn't communicate well enough that Jesse was editing it, so everyone would just ask me, "Where's the Plebe and the Weeb?" all the time.
And
for
I
like
really
6
love
months.
the clear
and
artistic
I'd always say,
vision.
"Ask Jesse."
The artistic vision conveyed in the editing is so like it's all from Jesse's perspective, and he just doesn't give a fuck.
That's what's great about it.
It's really great. It's really
great.
Like
that's the reason, because it's like, how can I explain that idea to like an editor and have it make any sense? Like it can only be like how do I sit down with the guy and be like, okay, this is not an anime talk show. This is a show about me ruining an anime talk show because I don't want to be there, and it's all from my perspective. And when they talk about time slowing down, you're gonna slow time down and go into my brain and look at the French Revolution set to the music from Crossange, which was an anime that came out 2 years ago that nobody in the world watched. And also, every time that Jeff coughs, I want you to zoom in on him coughing for no reason at all. And then I want there to be an extended 10-minute section at the end where everything that Digi's saying about directing an anime is reflected in like weird like filters on the screen, and his head gets fucking stupid and weird when he says the word off model and shit like I can't possibly sit someone down and explain that. I mean, it would take longer than editing it myself.
But that's a very visionary video, and I'm sure you could have like smaller shit that you could pass along, you know? Like, it's funny for me because my big videos, like the main channel, highly edited stuff, is the one I want out of my hands and into Vu's. Whereas the stuff that, like, I couldn't possibly give to him that, like, I have to put my creative stamp on would be, like, Insomnia Analysis, because it's so fucking weird. Like, even I don't fully understand my intentions with it, that it has to be me, because how could anyone possibly know? Like, I'd just be giving you like a bunch of completely meaningless footage and being like, do something with this. It's like, how do you know which rap song matches best with the emotion that's on my face in this clip? You know?
I mean, that's entirely true. There's definitely projects that are for you and you alone to do. But, like, I mean, the reality still exists, of course, that there are plenty of projects that you can have other people do.
Right. Like Galco and One Punch Man. Like, you didn't need to edit those.
Those, I just wrote the scripts, and I thought, you know what? These are cool and all, but I don't really give that much of a shit about the things that I wrote. Even though those were all, at the time, I thought, hey, these are really cool thoughts. I want to tell a story about them or whatever. But I was happy to pass them off to give somebody else to edit, and it came out good.
Wow, this sure does have a lot to do with the topic, conciseness.
Yeah, well, I mean, conciseness.
It's about the workflow.
The thing about writing concisely is that it's not a topic you can talk about for an hour and a half.
Digi, I want to ask everybody, like, do you guys have any specific things that videos do that wastes time that isn't, hey guys, sorry I haven't made a video in a while, and also when I thought the show was going to come out, I thought it was going to be this, but it turned out to be that. Any other specific things that you feel waste your time?
I mean, it's just constant. What I see in, like, especially analysis videos is constant redundancy and just saying the same thing 3 different ways and not seeming to realize that you're doing it.
Yeah, like, hey guys, it's RC Anime, and like, it's RC Anime, hi guys, and guys, hey, it's RC Anime. Just stop it. We got the first time.
Well, like, I remember going into making videos because I've always felt that making a point concisely is a thing. Like, even back when I made videos in like 2008, I'm like, I hated when people were like, hi everybody, hey guys. I've never started a video with hey guys. Sometimes I start a video with hello, as dramatically as possible when I feel it's necessary. So I've always been a stickler for not wasting time. I've just been terrible at it.
I used to feel the same way about that specific thing. I always was like, if you have to say hello, get out, you know?
Yeah.
But over time people have said, well, I mean, it's fine, it's good, and it's good, and it's fine. I'm like, I guess it's good and it's fine. Well, and sometimes I do it. I just, when I'm recording that guitar hole video or a vlog, sometimes I don't start with the point because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just saying, the fucking...
If I remember correctly, there's one video of yours where you're like, this game is just good. Vocabulary, what's that?
My favorite of all time is Hippo's line, it's got level design, and like that was it.
Yep.
Almost like any kind of setup at all is sort of counterintuitive to like the YouTube format as a medium.
Yeah.
Like in skits, for example, like you have a wacky character showing up, and something happens. You're having a conversation with like a cult Corona, and I like looking at it like as though it were like a movie or a TV show. Like screenwriting tells you that like there should like this conversation needs to make sense.
Yeah.
And like the sentences need to flow together, but in a YouTube video that just makes it like long and take away from the point of the video and just boring and redundant. And what I eventually came to learn is to harness the inherent like popcorny stupidity of YouTube. So like Colt Corona doesn't need to come in and say, this is why I'm here and this is what we're going to talk about. I can just like throw him in as a complete non sequitur for no reason, and just get to the goddamn joke already. Hey, I'm fucking pooping my pants. I'm a horse.
This is a pun
and then
done
the
before.
fucking other guy
non
comes in.
sequitur, like as in a centaur sequitur. What?
Oh.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. So as I was saying, you can go into videos going, I'm going to be concise.
Yeah.
Lol.
I don't know if what I said made sense.
It's not necessarily easy. So when I started making videos, like trying to do it professionally and all, right? What I'd come into is, wow, I have this like interesting point to make. How the fuck do I make it concisely? So a lot of times I just didn't. It took me like 3 paragraphs, but I could have written it in 1 paragraph, but I didn't know how to make that paragraph. And there was one video in particular where I was talking about Gravity Falls and shit, and I was just like, the point I was trying to make, I felt like I needed 3 paragraphs to make the point, because like basically the first paragraph has the first 30% of the point. Then the second paragraph has the second 30% of the point, and so on. But in order for those paragraphs to even make sense in the English language, I had to keep repeating the first percentages over and over again, and just weaving more in each time. It's just hard. It just takes a lot of legwork. You just have to listen to Mr. B-Tongue videos on repeat every day for months.
I want to get into why I think it happens.
The shit.
And I'll also say of what Jesse was saying about Colt Corona, like, if you want to, everyone should emulate the existence of Cal Chuchesta as a side character in videos. Because you can watch any Needle Drop video and he never explains what the fuck Cal Chuchesta is. Mm-hmm. He just shows up and says some weird shit in like 30% of his videos. And you just kind of have to either know the lore of the channel, or like you're just gonna go, okay, well, I don't know what that was about, but it was funny, like, because who cares what it actually is?
And what?
Who the fuck cares? But the reason I think it happens where people repeat themselves so much is that they feel like this point needs more weight than the amount of words they can use for it. And this happens to me a lot. And the biggest place I see this happening in anime analysis in particular is when trying to describe visuals. People will always say, like, the visuals of this show are really incredible, but they don't know how to explain that in more depth. So they say, like, the animation's really great, the color design's really great, the way that things flow together is really great, and they're basically just emphasizing again and again the point they made already. The visuals are really great, and it's because, like, unless you can pick apart like one moment to really dig into that, then it's hard to describe that in broad terms. But it's like you've got something in your brain that's like, no, I have to make sure they understand. They have to know how great the visuals are. This can't just be a flippant one-off point in the video, but you end up just repeating yourself ad nauseum. And an example, and like, not to throw shade at this guy because I love him, but Super Eye Patch Wolf just had a video about the newest season of Samurai Jack. And he kind of does that with the visuals, where he talks about it for like 3 minutes, basically just emphasizing again and again how good the show looks. And like the on-screen footage is doing all the legwork as it is. He didn't need to say anything.
Maybe that's really the point, that he's just trying to fill time so he can show you slides.
It could very well be, but like... that could be effective, but just make an AMV. Put an AMV in the middle of your video. That'll do enough.
emphasizing one point over another can't just be made through the amount of words used. It can be done through the tone of the words used. Like, yeah,
That's true.
the character designs are fine, the locations are fine, but that motherfucking nose on the main character so goddamn cute. Moving on, right? That kind of thing.
People
right?
forget that swears exist for emphasis, so
Right,
that's why I like to use them to make things look cool.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about that from Homestuck. After pages and pages, probably novels worth of chat logs, there's one moment where the way that you read the chat log is slightly different to really emphasize an important sentence. And like, obviously, Super Eye Patch Wolf does this because for him, the most important thing is to say the title of the video. He's like, why?
As dramatically as possible.
You should watch Yu Yu Hakusho. On to the video.
That shit cracks me up every time. But, like, I think the best way to do it is to, like what I do with my composer videos, where like I know I can't say 7 minutes worth of shit about an anime composer, so instead I'm just gonna play the fucking music and pop in every once in a while and say something.
That was good.
And like Canepa has almost done something similar with animators, except he talks almost too much, because he will just keep repeating, like, and the animation here is drop dead gorgeous, and then he'll like play a clip, and then he'll say, and then over here the animation is so incredible, and like play it. I'm like, I get it, dude, just make it Sakuga mad. Like, you know, I'll just have like an intro to it or something, which I did that too with my videos that I always forget exist because they weren't on YouTube. Where I just like showed off like the early work of a bunch of like, or it was directors who had previously been animators, and I had this video where it was basically an AMV where every once in a while I'd cut in and say, here's this guy and here's the stuff he did, and then it's just another short AMV, you know, because like, yeah, sometimes you don't have enough words to really describe it, so like don't try to force the format on it. Don't try to force it to be an analysis video.
This particular brand of conciseness you're talking about does not actually save you any time. It's just saving you number of words wasted on the page.
Yeah. Well, because it just sounds like shit when someone just keeps repeating themselves over and over again. Yeah. You're like, I fucking get it, you know? Just, I feel like it's more effective if you just show it. And the audience will feel it emotionally, you know? Like, the Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer video, where you at no point, or better example, the Gurren Lagann Part 1, like the bulk of that video is just an AMV with images showing your emotional reactions. Imagine how fucking garbage that video would be if instead of all those reactions, it was you describing your reactions to each moment. And then that moment was so sad, like, but then this moment was so uplifting.
None of the words, it would be terrible. It would be awful to just, and, oh my god, and then it got like twice as cool, and then it was like 4 times as cool all of a sudden. Shit.
And I mean, that's all those visuals are really saying.
Yeah, that's right.
But it makes you feel it the same way. Like you're going from a face that looks shocked to a face that looks utterly shocked.
And then a physical transformation of my body into a real man.
And it's like we feel what you felt. We don't even have to see the show to understand what you were feeling. And like it means it just hits you way harder to see it than it would be to hear it. And like that's perfect conciseness. You basically summarized and reacted to an entire fucking show in 4 minutes, presenting the full range of emotions you felt. That video is a fucking masterpiece.
It's kind of a masterpiece.
Absolutely a fucking masterpiece.
You know what I'm kind of tired of is
blowing smoke up Nate's ass about his Gurren Lagann Part 1 video.
I'm not.
Well,
sorry.
Yeah, well, what I'm kind of annoyed with is people being, you know, they got all their concise talking, but now with more, you know, Super Eye Patch Wolf, Nerd Writer, sort of breathy, talky, sort of, oh, it's so fucking, so cool, guys. They give it.
You should do a video like that, because just those 2 seconds of imitation were hilarious to me.
Right.
Make a parody video, Gib.
Consider it done.
Yes.
But there's never really enough breathing room for me to feel like any of it means anything.
Oh, like, yeah, I agree.
Because I'm editing a Bloodborne video, and I've got this whole big filmed live action bit at the beginning, and I didn't expect it to be like really long, but at the moment it's like literally the size of my actual analysis that comes afterwards, and it's so good just watching it and seeing how slow it is. It sets the tone of the game, and then also the review, because I'm silly, and it's like it has. I really like it. I was just watching it. I'm like, why don't analytical videos have more than just a small pause and then a swell of music before going into a big old boring thing?
Those guys are a little bit too one note. Like they stick in one emotional range when they don't understand. I mean, if they're trying to make a grand point, I really think like My Gurren Lagann Part 2 does that correctly. It's about building to a point, and you can be silly, and you want to catch people off guard and make them laugh and surprise them. Yeah. And then at the end, when you're making your grand point, it's at that point that you've earned the climax. That's when you hit them with like the big music and shit.
Literally can't watch Nerdwriter anymore because I feel like every video he makes is trying to make the exact same point. Mm-hmm. This thing is impressive.
Yeah.
Or Captain Christian as well. Mm-hmm. Like it's always just building up to like, wow, they sure did think about that. They sure did work. They sure did their jobs and made something good, you know, but someone who I think does that kind of dramatic presentation well is Vadi Vidya, where like it actually sucks you into the world he's describing, you know, like because it is like Hippo said, with Nerdwriter he's not slow enough. He's being slow to sound dramatic,
right?
But then it just creates this kind of white noise feeling because not everything he's saying is dramatic.
Sometimes
he's just describing what's good about this movie, and it's like this doesn't need this dramatic emotional weight, and it turns into white noise.
Vadi goes like full storyteller.
Is that all the stuff he's talking about is just the Souls games, which never get tiresome of hearing about how great they are.
Yeah, well, and they have a consistent tone, so he can apply the same thing to everyone, and it makes sense because you're always listening to the Souls music.
You know what's distracting about Nerdwriter these days is his editing, because he's always making all the edits slick, and I'm sure it's just because I make videos, but it always distracts me. Like I was trying to watch
everything about Nerdwriter distracts me now. Like, because all I see is the artifice. Like I can't even understand what he's talking about anymore. Because all I see is the artifice of the shit that he's been doing for 2 fucking years and has changed none of. You know?
Yeah, I mean, but like he always tries to like adjust the settings ever so slightly. You never see quite the same thing, right? You can just look at his thumbnails.
But it's the same feel.
And he has like 20 different fonts, right? He really puts a lot of effort into typography, and it's really distracting. The typography is really distracting. It is great. It's great on its own, but it's great in a way that takes away from it, you know? Just like
I remember the day that I found the font that I use all the time now. That was a good day. Never had to think about what font to use ever again.
Was that the TBAP one?
No, Showcard Gothic. That was the TBAP one, but now I use Microsoft Ty Lee.
I'm all Blue Highway, baby.
I know you are.
And I don't even think it looks good.
It looks nice.
It's fine.
I hate fonts. I'm
getting pretty sick of Blue Highway at this point, but that's how I should feel. I don't want to change the font. It's like
sorry, Hippo. Just to finish the Blue Highway point. Yeah, I also like. I mean, I don't even think it necessarily looks good. It's just that no one else uses it, so like it's so definitively mine that like. And I don't know a better one, you know, so it's like, fuck it, let's just stick with this.
Might as well. Gabe, what were you saying, though?
I was just saying I hate fonts, and every time I have to choose a font is the fucking worst thing, because I can never remember what fonts I've used before. I never keep a record of it, because I can't be bothered to type it down and then save a file somewhere. And then, I'm going...
and use it forever.
But I can't remember them. I can never remember them. And the one I have been used...
I would recommend... doing what Munchie did, which was genius, which he has a font called My Script, where it's just you turn your handwriting into a font. Nice. And we used that for the S4 Diaries, like all of the like title cards and everything, because Munchie had designed the backgrounds for that. And so if you watch like the ending of those videos, it's a great looking font that he had of just his handwriting, and like it was really consistent.
My handwriting is
awful. Munchie's out there making fonts at age like 14.
Yeah.
I remember his other children are just finger banging in the backseat of mom's minivan. Just get serious, kids. Get on Munchie's level.
I remember CGP Grey talking about how he like has specific fonts for specific purposes. Like there's one font that always is used if the words represent his own statement from his own mind. And then he has another font that represents the collective opinion, and another font that represents like straw man or something. I don't remember. It's an early episode of Hello Internet where he breaks down like the different fonts that have different voices. And I thought, yeah, it's cool. Fonts.
The thing about that is that when I'm trying to type it, like I need some text, and I just go, okay, let's get a font. I've never really prepared to think for any sort of a length of time about what font will be appropriate. So I feel like if I don't sit down and think about all these different fonts and which ones work for different things, I'm just gonna pick a random one every time because I can't be bothered to think about it because I just need the words on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, what you should do is you should decide one you like, you should use it in a video, and then what you should do is next time you're making a video, open up that old Vegas project, be like, yes, this is the file, or this is the font I use, and then use that, and eventually you will just remember forever.
There are font finder software.
I did that
like
for,
a website
for my
Divu, let Gib finish his point. Yeah, what were you saying?
Well, I did that for my pony reviews, but I got bored of it, and now I don't want to use it anymore. So now I just have a font that I will never use, as opposed to a bunch of fonts that I will just randomly use at any time.
Hey, Nate, let me finish this point. I intend to. I am suffering with 3-second lag here, brother. Person,
okay, but
affiliate.
There was talking over each other going on, so somebody had to go first. Okay, but in any case, I feel like we're done. I feel like we've hit the wall here. We're just kind of rambling. Why don't we go to questions? What do you think?
I'm okay with that.
Monkey, did you want to talk about concise writing in fiction at all, since you're here and haven't said shit?
Yeah.
In fiction or non-fiction?
And Jesse wants to say something too.
Whichever. And Jesse, what were you going to say? Jesse?
I don't remember. God damn it. I felt like I had a lot to say about this topic, but then I got scared and became confused.
Okay, well, Monkey can go on, and then maybe you'll remember.
Yeah, let Monkey go first.
I mean, I've already kind of said it. In terms of concise writing, you can never trust yourself, because you know what point you want to make, but that point might not be clear to somebody else who is experiencing the writing for the first time. So I would say always find a trusted friend or parent or teacher to just look over that shit and tell you if you sound like a retard or not.
But Monkey, and also, I don't have any friends.
And also maybe more than one, because I've started to have some concern that, because I pass all my scripts to Devu, and I just kind of count on, like, well, if Devu gets it, it's fine. But Devu also will listen to my video over and over again, and is definitely going to understand it by the time it goes out. And then sometimes I think maybe both of us understand it better than the audience is going to.
Yeah.
Hey, fair enough. To be fair, I don't do that as much. I mostly listen to it like once, and then I just sit on it for days, and then maybe I listen to it one more time, and then I go into editing it. The last couple of videos I've done like that, so hopefully not. I don't know.
I worry sometimes that me and you are so steeped in my analytical voice that we will of course we get the point that I'm making.
Sure.
But I have some videos that I'll return to like 6 months later once I've forgotten what the point was of that video, and I watch it, and there's certain parts where I'm like, I don't know if I was clear enough here. You know, like, I don't know if I really, like, if the audience will really appreciate what I'm saying unless they watch the video twice, you know. Because sometimes I'm too concise, and
I guess we need a PCP editorial department.
Yeah.
Review
people. The funny thing is that I think I am amazing at editing anyone else's stuff.
So it would be you then.
Yeah, it would just be me. But then somebody would have to do mine for me, you know. And it would just have to be tell me if it makes sense or not, and if not, I'll go fix it.
I remember one time there was this website, it's really ancient Web 1.5 website that was like, dude, pay us to give you the service of us editing your writing, your prose. And it goes on and on about how you really can't notice the flaws in your own works. And it was just talking about how much you really need to hire editors, and we're here to serve you. And the HTML was so fucked up that you couldn't even see half the text. It was like it was uncentered, and all the buttons were too big, and you couldn't. It was like an absolute mess of a website.
They spec'd into editing too hard and didn't put it into web design. They fucked up.
And I was just like, irony.
Well, yeah, and it's funny too because I used to always show my videos to Victor, and I'd ask him, like, did you get all that? Like, did you understand it? And, like, half the time he's like, yeah, of course, because, like, Victor does think analytically too. Like, a lot of the time stuff that I say he thinks is obvious, and he's like, you mean to tell me that people wouldn't know this already? And I'm like, no, most people are retarded and don't think about anything. But then there's also stuff where I will present it to somebody, and I'll say, like, did you get that? And they'll say, yeah. And then I'll be like, well, what was the point I was making? They're like, I don't know. Like, I know I understood it. I just don't know what the hell it was about. And I'm like, yeah,
that's
it sounds
not how
like
understanding works.
Well, that's kind of how some people just consume stuff, though. They don't really worry about it.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who, like, just, like, kind of watch the video and, like, they can tell that what I'm saying makes sense.
Yeah.
They just don't fully process it. And, like, they just go, yeah, that was smart. Like, I can tell that was smart.
Yeah.
I don't know what you said, though. You know, like...
Well, that's the thing. Some people aren't analytically minded in that way. And even if they did understand it, like, properly, they may not be able to communicate it because they're not good at that.
Yeah,
like, they wouldn't be able to tell you
right.
back at you in a different way.
I think that's true of Victor.
explaining.
Like, I think Victor understands all my videos and just can't explain it back to me. But I have had people who I know don't get it, and like, because I can see it in their eyes. They have that deer in the headlights retard look. You know?
Yeah,
It's kind of like. Me and Jesse were discussing rap lyricists recently, and how we both think MF Doom is overrated because everyone always talks about how amazing Doom is for his like crazy rhyme schemes and stuff, but most of his lyrics are literal fucking nonsense. And I think it's just that people are so impressed by like the fact that he's making all these rhymes and like and stuff that they don't like, it just goes over their head and they think, well, I just don't understand it because it's too smart.
That's a real thing.
A lot of rappers I notice really tend to bog themselves down in the show-offy like internal rhyming,
Right.
to a ridiculous point, and it is, it is impressive, but a lot of them are also not saying anything.
Yeah.
Like
It's like Rap God.
like there's been a
Yes.
like some of the best rappers ever, weren't rhyming every single word. They were just saying statements that rhymed.
Yeah, like Shakespeare,
hang
the
on.
first rapper.
Guys,
no rhymes
if you
at
don't
all,
see the
except
if you
when
don't
he
see the
did.
vision, if you don't see the vision in over your head I'm floating, I got your girl deep throating, then you're just not up to snuff.
Which one is that?
That's in Rap God somewhere, I think. I could be wrong.
Rap God is like, I mean, in fairness, Rap God is like about the idea that he doesn't have to make a point. He's just flexing nuts. But that's why it's an obnoxious fucking piece of shit song.
I fucking love that song. It's
Hey,
dope.
going
I
back to
listen
the topic
all
of
the
Who
time.
can
showing
doubt
things
the
to your
wisdom?
family, 'cause I
The
have some
wisdom
pretty-
in what is a juggalo? I don't know. But you ask what it is, well, fuck if I know.
Going back to the topic of like showing shit to our family, like I have some pretty decent resources for that because I have my dad, right? And my dad is someone who is intellectual and is analytical and open-minded, but is like a baby boomer who has literally no interest or point of reference for anything I care about and always forgets everything that I tell him after I'm done explaining it. So basically, I'm able to use him as like a mechanism to like, if I can explain something in a way that he gets and is mildly interested by, then I know I'm doing it correctly. Like one time I explained Sonic OCs to him, right? So first I had to explain Sonic, and then the adventure era, and then the concept of fandom, and then OCs. And he was like, oh, okay. And I can tell in his face when he's getting something or not. So yeah, you can use your family. You can bother them and waste their time and waste their life to help.
My
get a
dad's good
test.
for that as well, except that he has such a short attention span that somewhere in the middle he'll like notice something out of the corner of his eye and it'll completely make him wipe all memory of the conversation he's having. He's a squirrel, like a human squirrel.
Yeah. My brother as well. My brother is, I guess I'm going down the list here just so that you guys can compare it to your own families and think about what resources you have in them, because like my brother is someone who can appreciate all the things that I appreciate in art, but has an unbelievably short fuse for no longer giving a shit. So it's like, if anything isn't perfect, then he's gonna be like, okay, I'm done with this. So it's like, he's a pretty good, useful. I was like explaining to my brother a lot of my ideas for a video game, and like he was nodding his head at all of them, unfucking precedented with me telling him my ideas. So that really was a good sign for me.
Yeah.
What?
Are we still going to questions?
I have 2 points, 2 pieces of advice, keeping it in the realm of like you writing concisely for YouTube, because that's what I know. That's our area of expertise. I have 2 pieces of advice that I've thought of during this for writing concisely, as I explain that I have these 2 pieces of advice as inconcisely as possible by repeating myself 50 times. The first piece of advice is never write an intro. Don't do it. Intros are always bad. They're always a waste of time.
Right.
Just if you want to do like a skit or like a funny aside, put it in the middle of the video, because no one's going to sit through an intro to get to your point. But if you just throw them right in there, to the point, then they'll sit through that and get to whatever other bullshit.
But also
you
tell
want
them to not watch the video, which is what you do half the time. Just like, this video isn't good, don't watch it.
Well, yeah.
That's the intro.
Because
Well,
I care about
piggyback
my
on-
audience. I warn them when a video is garbage.
To piggyback on that a little bit, I'll say I think a lot of why intros get written is that people don't know how to start their paper or whatever. Like they're just looking for a way to like get the juices rolling. So I'll say write an intro and then delete it. Like once you've got the ball rolling and you figured out what you're saying, just go back and delete the intro.
I think it comes from that, high school, college, you have to have this many words. You have to have a thesis that is 3 seconds long. Your thesis doesn't have to be so many sentences long. It can be one word, one sentence. This thing is cool. The end. Then get to the fucking point.
I mean, if you saw just my last video had the thesis in the title, and I don't even say it in the the title of the video is how much does visuals matter in anime, and then the first sentence of the video is, obviously it's a matter of opinion, so just didn't even say
never
it
write intros. Don't waste anyone's time. It's just jump into it. You have the compulsion to think that you'll lose people by jumping into it, but you won't. The opposite's true. And this is something that I've learned by sucking at it for very long and very slowly coming to terms with how to write for YouTube particularly. And the other piece of advice that I've learned, mainly by sucking at it myself for many years before I slowly got the hang of it, is not every video has to be Mr. Plinkett. There's the compulsion, especially for people who write analysis type videos, of this video about this thing has to say everything about this thing. I'm going to encompass the entire scope of it. Sometimes it works out well. Nate's Gurren Lagann is a great video, but even that's in 2 parts. Yeah, I used to do that all the time. And it would really hamstring me because I'd say this, You know what
Monkey? YouTube review show suffers from trying to make every episode Mr. Plinkett?
You're all the same to me.
What's that, Davu?
Mr. Plinkett.
That's true.
The Mr. Plinkett show itself has all these episodes that are trying to be Mr. Plinkett and don't need to be, and I'm just like...
What's the Mr. Plinkett show? What are you talking about?
I think he means like Baby's Day Out didn't have to be a 45-minute video.
No, that was a 23-minute video, and it was a prank because they all thought he was going to do episode 3 of Star Wars, but then he did a kids movie.
That was fine. That's a joke. But say the Indiana Jones one, that was just the only point I can actively remember is they don't have any violence. That was weak.
The Indiana Jones video is very meandering and all over the place.
Right, because I feel like he was trying to force an hour of content out of it, and it was just
that was them exploring what they can do in the future, what sort of content will work. Are we really just gonna have to do Plinkett forever? I thought that was early days. I think they were still figuring that out.
My point is that you can really hamstring yourself by trying to put everything into a single video, and you won't get as much content out as fast as possible. You won't improve. Mia Mathova is proof of that. I'm for example, I'm looking right now at a Gunbuster My Japanese Animes that I wrote 2 years ago, and it's 25 pages long. Yeah, I never got around to actually making it because I'm looking at these 25 pages of words, and I'm like, I don't want to edit all of this. But now I'm looking at it years later and just thinking, well, wait a minute. I can clearly split this up into 4 different videos if I want. Yeah. And that would be way easier and actually get made that way. So just don't... Not everything has to be Plinkett.
I still haven't solved this problem.
This
problem with the extra credits problem where we've explained all the shit. I don't need analysis to exist anymore. I know it all now. But the whole point of continuing to make pieces in an artistic medium for the incoming generations is you have to keep making the point to people. So I feel like we just need kids analysis. We need specifically PBS Nerdwriter that is just telling you all the basic shit where some sort of cartoon dog talks about ludonarrative dissonance and you have a fucking moose comes in and talks about Gesamtkunstwerk, right? And that way all the adults can just focus on higher minded shit.
Fucking moose.
Interesting.
I'm glad Jesse brought all that up because me and Nate were literally talking about this last night.
Extensively.
I think during the interview.
By the way,
live already right now?
This will be out. The Nate interview is going to be out.
So I interviewed Nate, and we were talking about how there was kind of this perception that we all had back in 2015 where we all looked up to 45-minute long, hyper detailed analysis, like like Mr. Beatsong on Mass Effect, or Mr. Plinkett, or Sequelitis, and like we all had this idea that, like, that's the ultimate video. That's what we should all be trying to do. That's what matters the most. And Nate did Gurren Lagann Part 2, and Jesse did the Drowning in Horseshoes videos leading up to Horseshoe Finale, and I did the SAO videos, the Asterisk War, which, I mean, Asterisk War at least was split into parts in like a big way, but like we all had this idea of like it has to be the biggest possible thing, and what eventually happens is you never make it, and then you end up with like more than one of those. Like, it's one thing if you have one you have to do,
right?
Like Gurren Lagann, it had to be done, and like there's a couple that I think probably I still have to do, but like one of the biggest hurdles I ever got over as a creator was deciding not to write a book about Eva, and just to make videos about whatever ideas I had about Eva. Yeah. And now I have like 8 hyper successful Evangelion videos, right, and I still could make like 20 more as the ideas come to me, but those would not be out. Like, if I was still in the mindset that I have to make one giant Eva video, there would still be no Eva video, and it's questionable if there ever would be.
That's how stuff becomes too much of a burden. That's how you get buried under your own ideas. That's how a boy gets trapped in the furnace room. You don't want that.
You don't want that. You do not want that. There's a spooky bat in there. Watch out.
That spooky bat video actually freaked me out.
Oh, man, that bat is so scary. You don't even know, guys, every day with that bat.
I watched that video.
Struggle.
I watched that video while I was alone in a hotel room.
Oh, shit.
And like the music kind of got into my head, and I went outside to have a smoke, and I was just kind of like,
guys, we should make this kids analysis show. The subtext submarine. The Venetian talks about aesthetic cohesion.
Yes!
Guys,
the subtext submarine.
Go to patreon.com/theprocrastinators, whatever the fuck the URL is. If we get $10,000, we will get Hippo to animate an animated series talking about analysis.
Yes.
That way everyone from right out the fucking womb will know all the basics.
It'll just be our animal characters explaining at analytical points.
That sounds great.
Digi, real quick, just for clarification for audience members who may be feeble-minded, such as myself, all the points you just made, how does that comparable to at the beginning of this when you said you put all your points in one video, whereas Anime Snob separates them into separate videos? Like, is that kind of the same idea?
Well, what I mean to say is, like, it's not that I put every idea into one video, it's that my videos tend to go through various points. Like, my videos go through stages. It's always like however many points I think belong in this video, like I recently did this video series about Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, and it was planned to be 3 videos, and it's just because I had a shitload of points, and I said, well, let's break, like, I don't want to make a 45-minute video because it's not cost effective to do that, so let's split it into 15-minute parts, and I had just enough notes about the main character to make one 17-minute video about her, then I had enough notes about the other characters to make one 13-minute video about them, and then I had enough notes about the art and animation that I can make a third video whenever I feel like it, so like those videos are fairly long individually, but it's because they're going through all of the points that I thought needed to be in one video, like everything about Kobayashi. So it's kind of like 5 That Anime Snob videos in one video.
The real problem at the end of the day with Anime Snob is that the entire video is a waste of time because he's just wrong. He is just wrong.
That's the worst part. Like, don't take this as me in any way endorsing the way he does things. Like, his style of video could make sense. It's just that he's literally retarded.
Yeah.
Okay,
a good Anime Snob.
Episode 17. A Pomeranian talks about postmodernism. I'll work on my puns. Don't worry.
Okay.
I have a tip for conciseness. Stop writing clever YouTube titles. I don't like it when you just stop it.
This is a personal thing for Gabe. He's on the warpath.
What does that have to do with conciseness?
Because if you just write the name of the thing plus analysis or review, I'm way more likely to click on it if I don't know what it is. If you're trying to convince me to click on a video about the 10 secret hidden things and subtexts that nobody has noticed about this other thing or anime, I don't know the anime to begin
Honestly,
with.
Hippo, at this point, I would prefer numbers and exclamation marks, because I've, at this point, gotten completely sick of the Nerdwriter style of, like, the eloquent sentence that sounds all dramatic and highfalutin, like, this thing captures
I'd rather
your
just
shit, like...
It seems to work, though.
Yeah, it
Well, I
seems
don't
to
like
work,
it.
but it works on the sort of people who think they know everything and would like to know the secret, special, extra things that super intelligent people.
that's
I
the
just want to know
audience.
stuff. I just want to
Dude,
know
it's just,
about
it's just
a
that
thing.
our fans will watch our stuff. But if we want to bring in new people, we have to trick them into
I
watching
don't
the video
want
to
those
give
new
them
people.
good
They
content.
think they're smart.
Well,
and
I
they're
do
not.
because I want to fucking
How are
survive
you
on
gonna
this
get
shit.
more patrons if you don't bring
Yeah.
in new
I
retards?
will kill all the people. I hate them.
I mean, Hippo.
They're stupid.
What do you
Hippo,
think
what
of
book-
my titles, Hippo?
I can't remember. Give me a title you have.
How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Skip Akashic Records. Or,
Well, that one's funny. That one's got like a.
well, yeah,
meme.
that one's a reference.
Yeah.
So, in a very well-known reference. What's the one I did on Kemono Friends? The Lucid Dream World of
Right.
Kemono Friends. I don't know. What do you think of that?
I mean, Hippo, what book
That's
are you more
okay.
likely to read? Satire about women or Men Are Better Than Women? Like, do you want the honest title
Yeah,
or the cool
yeah.
title?
I want the cool one. What I'm saying
I
is
think you're
that
talking about something more
if-
specific than what we're
it
saying
sounds-
you're talking
Well,
about.
what Hippo is saying is, like, we should name everything like Evangelion Review number 5? Like, why not give it a more creative title?
No. What I mean is that people, I've just seen just recently. There's like every single type of video in that ilk seems to be under the assumption that you already know the basics and you're looking for some extra shit.
Yeah.
And I will never click on anything that implies that I know what I
I get
know
what you
this
mean.
thing.
Like Nerdwriter videos, every title is trying to play into your desire to be smart.
Right.
Like
yeah, for sure.
he's constantly trying to reassure you that by watching his video, you are gaining an arcane knowledge that will make you stronger, or give you a deeper appreciation for this cultural touchstone that everybody already understands.
It'll give you that nerd cred that is so valuable in today's social economy.
Oh my.
Like, I would much rather just watch a straight review of something that everybody has seen, but I haven't.
No,
like,
no
like,
gay
say,
reviews for you, huh? Yeah, you
Well,
bigot
let's
piece
let's
of
say
shit.
like Seinfeld, right? I have never seen like a normal straight review of Seinfeld, but I have seen plenty of annoying like extra videos about the subtext and the extra things that you know Seinfeld. Everyone knows Seinfeld. Here's some more. I will never
You know what that
click 'em
reminds
and
me
never
of?
enjoy that
That
sort of
reminds
stuff.
me of people complaining about things that everyone's talking about on the internet that I haven't heard. Like, my introduction to ludonarrative dissonance was the Game Over Thinker episode called "Stop Talking to Me About Ludonarrative Dissonance," and my second exposure to it was someone else being like, "Oh God, oh yeah, it was Jimquisition talking about Ludoskabib disco biscuits." Like, oh geez, so much ludonarrative dissonance out there. Since everyone just spends all their day reading blog posts by shitty blog artists like me, Jimquisition. I'm like, no, I don't.
That's how all
You're the
politic
only person I
conversation
listen to
gets
that
to me.
complains about this.
But if we
yeah,
can't have an intro where we tell people the basics, and we also like can't assume everybody knows everything, what are we supposed to do?
Well,
I'm not talking about intros. I'm talking about entire
Well,
videos. Like if
And
somebody were
intros
to
are part of
explain-
entire videos, Hippo.
This is what we need the
No,
fucking
little
kids
bit.
What's your
analysis
point? I
show
don't get
for.
it.
We have a German shepherd
sounds
talk
like
about German
monkeys-
expressionism. We have a fucking
Monkey's looking. Oh, sorry, Devo, sorry.
what
gotta
the
have
problem
the
here
kids
is
show
we're
wherever.
sorry.
Go ahead, do it. I'm dead.
We are simultaneously trying to say that you should
Yeah.
like not just do summary, but that you should also, and Hippo wants like standard reviews, but what Hippo's means is that he wants there to be videos that are just a actual review of the thing without assuming that everyone's already seen it.
It's
like,
it really all it is the flowery and the insinuation of the title that makes me not want to click on it. Like if you are talking about, say the content of the video is exactly the same. If you just title it Seinfeld analysis, then I'm going to click on it because I want to know.
But I think most people wouldn't click on that because it's such a
you gotta
plain,
play the
boring
game.
title.
Well, I hate YouTube then.
Fair enough.
Yeah, well,
That's
there
fair.
is
Well, I
a
mean, I
time
think-
where
I think
I
Hippo
was
would
sick of
click-
that title. Yeah.
I think Hippo would click on it if you said like, why is Seinfeld so well loved? If that was the title, you'd probably click on that because that's what you're trying to find out.
Well, maybe not at this point because I just generally hate titles.
I want.
I'm
we need
done
a
with
campaign
titles.
against video titles. They gotta go.
Yeah.
Kib,
First
your
was
your
annotations and then
your
it was
channel
titles.
banner. Your channel banner for hypocrite should just be the words "I'm gonna kill you," so everyone knows.
You are the hypocrite, so it's entirely appropriate that you make YouTube videos about how much YouTube sucks and is a piece of shit.
Yep.
It's good.
Yeah.
Well, all right. How about we go to the questions now, team?
I'm down.
Let's do
Yeah.
it. Let's do it. Here we go.
Hippo, I love you.
I feel no ill will towards anyone. I don't like YouTube anymore. I don't like titles. I don't like seeing titles. I don't like seeing titles and reading them and having to decide on whether or not I hate it.
I mean,
I do legitimately.
Why would you
want
to watch a review of a show you like? Like, why would you want to watch a Seinfeld review if you know nothing about it anyway? Couldn't you just read a summary to see if you'd be into it?
Well, because Gibbs heard a lot about Seinfeld over the years, so
then just fucking watch it.
Well, I can't.
That's
I
hard.
don't have a television.
I don't know. I think if an analysis is good and interesting, you'll just sort of inadvertently get all the shit and eventually know all the obvious stuff.
I'm not really looking for a Seinfeld analysis. I just don't like people being smart. I don't like people having smart titles. That's really my entire point. If you're trying to be smart, I hate you in it forever.
Like, after watching like a combined total of like 15,000 hours of Roger Vanderweed analyzing Sonic, I now know all the basic stuff without him ever actually attempting to explain basic stuff, just through inference. So, you know.
Here we go, people.
Question
time.
number 1.
Read this question, Nate. Here I go. Okay, at our old friend IceKiller159 asks, yo, PCP, you get to experience a piece of media for the first time again. What do you choose? I am torn between Ace Attorney and Death Grips.
Question.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Way to go, Elton.
Definitely Lost. That's my answer. I already know it.
Lost, huh? Even with the ending.
Oh, yeah.
That we know is bad.
Especially
that we know
with the
is
ending.
bad.
It's not a bad. Anyone who says the ending of Lost is bad. You know what? This is my communist glasses are not fucking orange. Anyone who says the ending of Lost is bad, I'll fucking find you and I'll kill your whole family.
Jesse, I think you are as passionate about every opinion you actually end up caring about as much as Nate is about the glasses thing. Like, I think for you it's like 99% of opinions you immediately discard because you know that if you let your opinion sit there for more than 5 seconds, it's going to become like a hill to die on.
I'm passionate about all of my opinions equally until I remember how I feel about Lost, and then I'm passionate about nothing but Lost.
If I could read...
I would actually...
Oh, sorry, Hippo, go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay, if I could experience something for the first time again, it would have to be the final 3 episodes of Season 4 of Breaking Bad. I don't think anything has enthralled me as a viewer more than
what part was that? What was happening?
So the first of the 3 is the Crawl Space episode, which is a very famous ending.
Where he laughs at the end and goes mad.
Yeah,
right?
God damn, that was the bingiest binge watch I've ever binged, I'll tell you.
And that was the cringiest cringe watch I've ever cringed. Oh! Your show sucks.
For my answer for this, like...
What's going on?
Most, I don't know, somebody's typing up a fucking
there.
storm. With most movies and TV shows, I tend to like it more the more times I see it. So, like, most of those, I feel like I wouldn't want to hear or see for the first time. But, like, any album that I like... For me, like, the most magical time with an album is when I'm first getting into it and it feels mysterious and, like, I can't tell the difference between all the songs yet. And it's just, like, for instance, Rat King's So It Goes is a great example, where I was, like, playing this album on repeat while playing Phantasy Star Online for a few days. And it would just be, like, you know, as it's going, I pick up on little things. I'm like, oh, here's that song. Oh, I remember hearing this part. And, like, it just feels like this endless, magical, just getting to hear all these different things that I didn't know about. And then eventually, once I've heard the album enough times and I know exactly what's where, that's where I start forming opinions like, oh, well, this song's a little weaker than the others, so I might skip that track. Or, like, oh, this is the good verse. This is the, that part. Like, oh, now I've got, like, all these opinions about it. And I don't have that sheer just wonder of experiencing something I don't completely understand yet. So, like, especially longer albums like Third Side of Tape by Lil Ugly Mane, because that one's like over 2 hours long, and it's just like a random compilation of weird songs that are like all completely different from one another. So it was always like this total mind-altering experience to listen to it until I'd heard it like 30 times, and now it's like, oh, okay, this is the part where the obnoxious 10-minute black metal song kicks in. Let's skip that,
Yeah.
So yeah, any album, really.
Okay.
What
Jesse,
about the
you got
human
anything for
equation?
this?
Do you want to hear the human equation again?
Human equation would be, that's another good example of one that in the early days was like very mysterious.
I believe the human equation is pussy plus my face equals a happy boy.
Ditchy, are we still doing a PCP episode over the human equation?
It's on the list.
If anybody else fucking listens to it,
We'll
and
get
gets ready
Davu
for
and Nate,
that,
and that's all we need.
I'll listen to it.
We'll fucking make you listen to it. Digi, you're over at his house. Force him. Tie him up Clockwork Orange style. Only pry his ears open instead of his eyes.
I'll knock him out and then tie him to a chair, and then he'll wake up. He'll go, I can't move. I can't feel my body. I don't remember what's happening.
No, I don't remember anything, you fucking pleb.
By the way, my answer to this question, without a doubt, is certainly One Piece. I want to take that journey again, knowing nothing. And
luckily for you, it's not over yet, so you still can.
That's the great thing about it, man.
You should have. You guys, I want to tell our audience, you have never heard someone read something more enthusiastically than Nate reads One Piece.
You should have. Yeah, if you've been here.
I'm sitting in the other room and just hearing Nate go, "Oh my god, what? What?"
Dude, everybody should. If you don't care about being spoiled, go check out the new episode. Oh my god, I didn't finish the fucking video yet. I have to make it. I totally forgot.
Yeah, make that shit.
Okay, I'll make it today. Go check out the new episode. It'll be up like last week at this point of the podcast. And like the things that happened in this chapter really were yet again the most insane, mind-blowing things of all time.
It really scared me.
This time was actually terrifying and like beyond. It was a new fucking level.
I'm glad to find out that I'm not the only the only loud reader who passionately.
I scream, I yell, I run.
Like when I read comics, I do all the voices out loud, and I pace around the room doing my Kevin Conroy voice and my fucking Joker voice, and if anyone else is in the house and I don't know about it and they hear me, I have to run out of the house screaming and never come back.
If you read a comic quietly, everything goes according to plan. There's no problem. But you read a comic and you get a little loud, everyone loses their mind.
If I read a comic quietly, then it's not really happening. It's just a fake, made-up little book for kids. Yeah. If I read it out loud and the characters are really here,
then it's real.
Hippo, did you have an answer for this?
I do. Being a many years veteran of World of Warcraft, I'm very disillusioned with it. I'm very tired of the what happens with World of Warcraft? The reason it grips so many people is because the initial experience of seeing how big the world is and all the places there are is absolutely fucking magical.
That's the best
and you
part
fall
about
in love with it, and you just want to live there. You want to go. You want to do everything, and I've done literally everything in that game aside from the current expansion, and to the point where nothing excites me anymore, and it really is sad because it's so much. So cool.
That's a great answer, and I feel that way about every MMO I've played.
Sure.
With WoW, it was specifically just the undead starting country, because playing through that was fucking magical. And then I got to the next area, which was the Badlands, and thought it was lame. So I just restarted and played through the starting undead place 3 times, and just until I completely knew it, and then it was not as interesting. Hey. But same goes for Terra or Black Desert, any of those games. When you first started, it's just whoa, this world is so huge.
Hey man, the troll starting area was great, man. I love that fucking place. Fucking trolls are the best race. Everyone else is shit and WoW. Only trolls are good.
You have an answer, Devu? Did you?
Yes, actually. So I was thinking about it. Everything that I liked at one point, then overconsumed. I don't want to regress to a point of not having ever experienced it because it was instrumental in my understanding of what makes things good, and I use it as an influence. So I don't want to fuck with the timeline that badly.
Sure.
Oh my god, you're right, Devu, because if I went back in time to when I hadn't seen Lost, I might listen to people who say the ending is bad.
Exactly.
I wouldn't want to watch it.
Oh no!
Well, that's exactly what I want. There's this stupid dumbass show called The Pretender, which is sort of like a proto hour-long weekly American drama type of thing that Alias and Lost sort of followed up on. And it's a late 90s thing. It has a lot of weird superficial similarities with Alias, actually. And it has an interesting sort of character premise, but it is the Ranma one half of America because it doesn't progress anything ever, and it's 4 seasons long, and I just watched it because I was watching it with my family. Huge waste of fucking time. So it did not, there's other shows that I didn't like, and I regret watching, but I don't regret watching because it's fun, and I think it's interesting how they fuck up. But Pretender is just mediocre and stupid, and it was just the one time in my life where for whatever reason I was willing to waste that much time and not expand my knowledge of anything ever for any reason whatsoever. So if I can erase my viewing from history and then have to begin watching it again, my current self will have no tolerance for it and turn it off immediately, and I'll have saved myself a combined total of 50 hours.
That's a great answer.
So you do it all for those 50 hours. All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Use all of it on D.
You know what he means, Nate.
Yeah.
The D board.
Okay, so that's everybody, right? We've all gone through this.
Yep.
Okay,
yeah,
let's.
yeah,
I've got here's another question that I absolutely love. Okay, here we go. So this is at Pondidator asks, at PCP, who is the hottest Sailor Scout? I've spent a lot of time thinking about this.
I
question.
don't
Mars.
know them well enough.
You don't know them well enough. It's absolutely
Easily
Mars.
Mars.
It's 100%
It's
Mars.
not even
no
a contest.
Doubt.
It's not
no
even a
doubt.
contest.
Wait, is Mars the
It's
black-haired
Popeye
one?
the Sailor Man.
Mars is the black-haired with
I thought it was
Yeah,
the
she is
coolest
the
guy you've
hottest.
ever seen. The only male one.
Oh, that's also
Tuxedo
yeah.
Mask
That's
is
obvious.
pretty
Okay, you're
sick.
right. But aside from that guy, aside from the coolest guy, definitely. I'm looking at a pop vinyl Sailor Mars right now, sitting on my windowsill.
Nate's got a picture of all of them lined up next to each other, and Mars is like far and away the hottest.
The only other one that I like, I do appreciate Jupiter, but Mars is by far the best one.
I never seen Sailor Moon.
Nah, I'm just
missing
kidding.
out,
The
dude.
hottest one is Homura.
I don't know who that is.
Can I
From
can I
Madoka
fuck
Magica,
the
you
cat?
fucking
Is that
right.
is that cat like the cat from Sabrina the Teenage
It's
Witch?
the same
Can
cat, yes.
That's
same
the same
It's
continuity.
literally the same thing.
Cool.
I
I
like,
like that
uh,
cat. I will fuck that cat.
Okay.
I still like Captain Crunch, and I'll stand by that.
Okay, here we go. At Solely Claw asks, if gay was a physical object, musical genre, or food, what would it be?
Two balls touching.
Gay?
If gay. I was going to say Digi. It would be Digi, is my first choice.
Well, if K was a food, it would definitely.
It'd be
Wait, that
what?
got cut
You
off.
broke
Say that
up for a
again?
second.
What my
Your audio cut
my
out for a
beautiful
second there.
my brilliant corn dog joke?
Oh, God damn it.
Oh my god, you guys weren't laughing. I thought it wasn't funny.
I just didn't hear you.
Oh, thank God.
I was just
A
like,
moment of
I just like
crisis.
threw my fucking corn dog joke out there and just like dead silence. Like no, it finally happened.
Yep, it's over for you, dude.
Time to walk into the snow and die.
Anyone have any other suggestions for what gay would be?
What, did he say genre of music?
Yeah, that was one.
Whichever one sucks.
A dad
Dick.
rock.
Get it?
I'm
More like
so
glam
happy,
rock maybe, but I don't know.
happy-go-lucky me.
Yeah, Tiny Tim. It would be Tiny
Never
Tim.
bother you, never bother me.
Okay, let's move on with this question. This is dead air. Okay, here we go. At our hero, Monkey Away asks a very apropos question. What's stopping the other PCB members from doing their own Mia Mathova? But then he asks, I don't know if this is supposed to be an insult. He says, standards or work ethic? Like, no one else has low enough standards? Or they don't have low enough work ethic to make a
I
Mia
came up with,
Mathova?
High enough work ethic.
It's got to be the opposite.
I came
of
up
that.
with one concept where I do a video every day all year called
Right.
2018. Too cool, 0 fucks given, 1 video a day. You're going to hate all of them.
Which is pretty great.
I do like that a lot.
I did fucking Mia Mathova 3 years ago, you asshole.
But you didn't brand it hard enough.
No, I didn't brand it at all because
He
I
didn't
want
brand it
people
at all.
to
It
know.
was a secret. It was a secret
Yeah.
because he had money on the line as to whether or not he would succeed, and if he
Yeah, I
failed,
won a lot
he
of
would have
money.
ran away with the money.
Yeah.
Nate, you had to pay me for that, right? You bet against me, and I think you gave me $10 or something.
I don't think I actually was in on that bet. I would have bet against you if I had known, but I don't
no,
think
you
I
were.
actually did.
You were in on the bet. I don't know if you ever paid out, but you were in on it.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I know you were, because Ben was the only one in the PCP who wouldn't bet against me because he said he wanted to bet for me, and I was like, you can't do that.
Then I will give you $10.
I think you might have. It's possible you paid
I
me.
really don't
the
remember
fuck
being
are you
involved
guys
at all, but
talking
I'll
about?
trust you.
Here's my theory.
I
is that-
said, okay, well, what we're talking about is in 2014, I made a
Right.
video every day in October, and I made bets with, like, everyone I knew, like, to see if, like, you know, to incentivize me to do it.
Right.
Mostly it was my mom and dad who, like, were betting the most, and they're the only ones who I, like, really hammered to pay me. But, like, yeah, I made bets with, like, everybody, but I didn't, like, announce that I was doing it because I was scared if I did, it wouldn't get completed, as
Right.
tends to be the case when I announce projects. So it was only, like, at the very end of the month that I acknowledged that I had just done this thing, whereas Nate, like, made it very clear
See,
what
I'm
was
the
happening
opposite
all the way
because you'll
through.
get bored. If I announce it, then I have to do it, or
Right,
else I
exactly.
won't. Yeah. So we're the
Well,
opposites.
speaking of that, I had an idea of doing a July Mia Mathova. I don't know whether I should.
Well, I mean, in the meantime, you've got your
I had an idea
June.
of,
No,
like-
it's Demon Dark Blood month, bro. Which is
It's not
great.
really the same, but it's good.
It's similar and I like it.
It's
I
more
like
than
it.
one. It's more than 0 videos
I
a
want to
month,
say,
which is what I usually
for
do.
the record, all of us are insanely prolific in the kind of way of Mia Mafova. Like, Gibbon has had months where he puts out videos like almost every day on Give and Take. Jesse's had months where he's put out a video almost every day just on random channels. And I do literally put out a video every day.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, there's the era of
innately.
Furnace Room has no breaks. There's been a video every single
That's
day.
true.
That's in addition to Ponycast. It's in addition to other videos on other channels. I did do a video every day in October of 2013, and I'm still bearing the emotional
That's
scars
right.
from it to
Most
this
of those
day.
are hidden now, but that was the
Right,
thing.
right.
I had an idea to like do like next year, do like Mia Mafova 2. Maybe I'll actually make a video, but like the joke would be that I don't make a video, and like I said, maybe.
Right. You said maybe.
Well,
I
now you
encourage
said
that.
it.
You
Yeah,
know,
no-
only a select few
Now I
will
said
know
it, so I don't
this.
actually have to do it.
Great.
Even that would have been too much work for me. I'll just say it here.
Let's
I think
see
for
here.
me
Too
it's a
much of
simple
an
matter of like
investment.
crop rotation, where like going out into the world and watching movies and like being a real person to like form actual opinions is like planting cotton, and then
Oh, yeah.
making a video explaining your shit is like planting corn. And I think like someone like Mr. B-Tongue, right, spent like 30 years just being a normal guy, probably writing a lot of college papers or some shit, but never airing out any of his thoughts. And then over the course of a couple of years, he just drops absolute gold, and then he runs out, and he only comes back once a year to like have another little bit of corn.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm just kind of that's really why I don't have any problem with not making any videos. I'm just fucking planting cotton up my ass, guys, and it's gonna all shit out one day and then do incredible rainbow.
I
all
think
right.
I think everyone needs to understand about Mia Mafova is that thing wouldn't have been possible if not for the fact that Nate had not been doing that for the last 2 years. Because 30 ideas in a row is a hell of a lot, because our work is all based on other stuff. Like, it's not like Casey Neistat where he just goes out and literally films his day every day, and half the videos are the exact same. Like, he goes to the
Right.
airport, he flies to another country, he goes somewhere. Like, we have to every single time have something new to talk about. And it's one thing if you go 2 years making one video every 2 months, you've got this huge stockade of shit you've been planning to talk about that you've never gotten around to, and then just boom, blow through a bunch of it in a month. But if Nate tried to do Mia Mafova again right afterwards, then suddenly it's gonna be, oh shit, I'm out of ideas.
Well, that's
you know?
absolutely true. I there were plenty
That's
of
what
ideas.
happened to me in that October, is that I fucking completely, like, at the end of the month, you'll see the last, like, 5 videos are just, like, really struggling to come up with something.
I do have a bunch of ideas that I, was just stockpiling as potential stuff, but I picked the ones that I thought were the best. But
Right.
but more so than that, what is interesting to me about Mia Mafova that makes it sort of special, I guess, is that it really was very time bounded and like a one-time thing, and it was an event. Like to do it for a year, I really think people would get bored, even if I was delivering content, better than ever, and just doing that same shit. I don't think people would give a fuck after a while, which is, variety. People are into variety. They want to feel like something special is happening. Everyone was so hyped to be involved with this thing that was going on during this time, and it was very effective. But to do it, to like immediately do like the same sort of thing, even like 2 months later, they'd be like, oh, like
We got
you'd
it.
hear the cheers, but they'd be like, yeah, a little quieter. Then like maybe a month later, it's like, yeah, okay, we're doing this again. All right. Same shit. So, I don't know, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I'm not sure about doing a July one. I mean, it's not going to have the same hype. There's going to be a few people that'll be like, oh, you're doing one now, that's cool. But really, I don't really want it to be... I don't really care too much about it being like a big, like, oh yeah, branding and everyone buys...
I'm all about that branding.
Buys shirts. Mostly because I can't be bothered to think about that.
Right.
I just want to make... I just want to get into the habit of being able to make
You gotta get
31
bothered.
videos in a month.
I think it's
Like that skill is something that I need.
Yeah, and I think it's important for everybody to realize that, like, all of that branding and stuff it's not just that that's a good, like, marketing decision, it's that that's what allowed Nate to do
That's
that. Like,
entirely
he
right.
couldn't have done it if he didn't make it a big deal. It had
Right.
to have lots of pressure. It had to be, like, a lot of personal responsibility on the line. Personally, for me, that wouldn't have worked on me, but having money on the line worked.
Right.
Because I am a fucking Jew, and I will not, like, the idea that I was going to have to pay out $110, because that's about how much how many bets I made.
Yeah.
The idea of having to pay $110 because I failed to make a video every day was completely unacceptable.
You know what was funny? I don't know if I mentioned this in the interview yesterday, but like I had actually been planning on one of the things I was going to make as part of Me and Maffa was a deal with the audience where if I don't succeed at making all this, I will like give the money away that I make during this month to like whatever. Like we'll have like a poll. Like I was really considering that, but then I just thought, you know what, like. That is unnecessary. I don't think people actually require that.
The problem with that is people would start holding you to like, oh, it has to be midnight.
Yeah, like then it would have been weird standards for stuff, whereas this was better. But yeah, that was tossed around. But yeah, I don't know. I guess there's a place for Me and Maffavas in the world, but I don't know. Like I would love a Gib Me and Maffa of some kind. I would love what I want from Gib, and that's what Me and Maffa was an excuse for you to just make tons of content. Fast. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to see you do goofy shit.
What I want from Gibbon is just the same thing that I was inspired with by Me and Maffa, which is a middle ground.
Yeah.
Between like the absolute like I made this in 10 seconds, but it is fucking great. That is give and take, and the like this took a whole month. That is hypocrite. Like I want that.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially what minuscule reviews are, but like without pigeonholing it into being called a minuscule review. You know.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's your answer, I guess. Next question. Let's see here.
How deep in are we?
We are 1 hour and 49 minutes.
Okay.
We'll do a couple more of these and then we'll wrap this shit up. Okay, how do we got here? At Rain Snow Hail. Hey, what's up, dude? Asks which member/friend of the PCP, if not already doing a podcast together, would you like to at least try to co-host a show with? Co-hosting shows. People outside the PCP.
Outside the PCP, or
isn't that what they said? What member, friend?
Well,
/ member.
PCP.
So it'd be.
I got the impression he means like which other PCP member do we want to have an individual show with?
Right. So like, who do you want to do things with that you're not already doing something with?
Digi has been saying that me and him should do something, but we have no real concrete idea of what exactly.
Concrete reviews. Review concrete. There you go.
Yeah, I've already got shows with. I've got a show with Monkey and a show with Nate, and Hippo's the last one who I also want to show with. But yeah, it would have to be the right show. Like everybody else, I love working with, but like for a weekly show, most of these motherfuckers are horribly unreliable. So. Like Ben, who was actually signed up for this episode, and
he did not show up. Did not show up.
There's a reason I
Ben.
haven't started a weekly show with Ben.
I just like the reason why I'm on so few episodes of this show is I'm really good at talking myself down from thinking that I'm gonna have much to say that will be useful, and like the only thing that really motivates me to do podcasting is if there is a ridiculously unnecessarily elaborate plan, which is why I'm so into doing commentaries with Digi, where the idea is that we commentary every single main video and we say literally whatever we want. That is what gives it the challenge that entices me. So I feel like if I was to do a podcast, it would have to have a lofty, ridiculous plan, like finding the biggest
like a
problem
narrative
in the universe
of some
or whatever.
kind.
Yeah, some sort of weird gimmick.
Okay, fair point.
And if you like shows with gimmicks, go listen to the insufferable social media argument, the podcast at monkeyjones.com.
So viewers, I actually do want to have suggestions.
Do you actually own monkeyjones.com?
No, but I'm hoping somebody buys it and just makes it porn or something.
And fucking give suggestions for some overly ambitious podcast concept that I could possibly be skilled in some way. Hit me up with that.
We had teased the idea between ourselves of doing some sort of debate or idea discussion thing. So maybe at some point we'll do something like that.
I think me and Nate are going to end up with a bunch of podcasts together.
Yeah, we got a couple on the back
burner. Aeromanga's been going really well. We've talked about doing. I don't know if we should talk about.
Let's keep it on the down low. Some other projects.
We have several other podcasts.
That is such a brilliant idea that
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best I've ever had. So I hope that we get it going at some point.
Super secret.
It is
That's
super
all we're
secret.
Say.
But let's real quick. Why don't we just talk about let's just name the ones that exist already, just to run through them real quick.
Yeah.
So there's the PCP, of course. There's the Pod D Cast with me and Gib, which is the One Piece Weekly. There is the Pony Cast, which is Jesse and Gib. My Little Pony every week. What am I missing? Oh, there's Insufferable Social Media between Mumkey and Digi.
Aeromanga Sensei,
Digi, and Nate.
And the Narukast. Don't
The
forget
Narukast with
between
Mage and Monkey.
Mage.
The
We're working on
world-famous-
episode 2.
Hell yeah.
There's Rowdy Fuckers Cop Killers, which is Munchie and Ben.
Yeah.
There's the Stealing Your Dad's As If It Was Easy, which is me and Munchie.
Yep.
There's the commentaries that me and Devu do, which is once a month.
There's the Homestuck thing that Munchie's doing on his channel now. Though
none of us are really co-hosts.
Gabe was on there, but that's true. That's mostly his thing.
There's Sai tries to get Mumkey into, because Sai's an honorary
Sai
PCP
is definitely
member.
not a
honorary
PCP
member, Sai, right?
Yeah, you guys all agreed he's an honorary member.
And
he's part of the sub PCP. I have in my head that there's there's a secret 10-person PCP.
Well, no,
it's like the dark PCP. It's the dark PCP.
We
Yeah,
talked about
it's
this
like
we talked
it's
about
like
this at
Lachlan
Atlanta, right?
Still, Sai, who else would be in our
Nino?
the Nega?
Nino?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Nino, the Nega PCP.
Well, don't call him a negative.
Jump
That's
Team
just
Mars
special.
would be in
No,
there.
Digi, we talked about
Joe.
this in Atlanta. That it's a fighting game and it's the PCP, and then there's all the assist.
Oh yeah, they're
trophies
the
or
color
summons,
swaps.
The
right?
color swap.
Or the
Right.
summons.
Yeah.
Oh, the
So
summons.
so
okay.
Sai is an alternate skin for Digi, and Nino
Oh, okay.
Nino's an alternate skin for Nate,
Which
or
is not an
something,
insult
Okay.
anymore, because Sai has lost a lot of weight and probably weighs less than I do now. So
Sure,
it's,
yeah.
it's
No,
fair
it's
for
an
him to
insult
be
on
there.
you, Digi.
Yeah, we're insulting you, Digi, to compare you to
I'm-
Sai.
I'm saying that it's not an insult to me because Sai is no longer fat. Sai is
It's
even
more of a
skinnier than I am.
personality thing.
Wait, you know what? It's not insulting. It's perfectly politically correct.
All I care
I've
is
got
that
the
I'm not
perfect-
compared to a fat guy. That's the only thing that matters to me.
Okay, yeah. What is it?
I've got the perfect podcast that needs to exist. Munchie and Jeff. Something
Yes.
with them. Something with
Munchie-
Munchie and
That
Jeff.
would just
Holy
be
shit.
Jeff being
hilarious.
overwhelmed
Munchie
by
would destroy his mind. He would
Yes,
break that boy.
exactly.
Man, Digi, I just thought, wouldn't it be great in an alternate timeline where your friend Brandon Tolentino kept doing podcasts with you and he was actually known by your current fans? Because then he could be an alternate skin for Hippo, and the only one I could think of.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
I was
true.
actually wondering who'd be the alt skip for Hippo, but
Well,
I think Devu and
Monkey
Lachlan Still would be
Monkey
color
and,
swaps.
and
Oh,
I
shit,
mean,
I
Monkey
think
would
you're
be
right.
a main character as well, but isn't Lachlan tall? I don't fucking know.
How are we doing this relationship? Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, here's our
What
final.
even topic are we on right now?
Okay,
We're still talking
well,
about
that
podcasts,
was-
sharing podcasts.
I forget what question that was. Doesn't matter. Here's our last question for the day. Okay, Benjamin Whistle asks, "What do y'all think of cars? What do you think of our cars?"
But I wish I
Cars.
wasn't bored by them. And whenever, because there was a moment where I was thinking about how there's this subset of people who are just oh yeah, that's a 95 Honda Civ bitch, something or other. And I'm just man, whenever I'm watching a show and there's a video game console and my eyes light up and I'm like, ooh, what video game console is that? And I can tell based on any subtle visual cues. And I'm like, man, people who are like that with cars get to be like that all day outside. I'm like, that's ridiculous. How could you possibly
Great.
deal with that much stimulation of intrigue? Also, what kind of weirdo are you to like cars? What else do you like? Pavement? Do you like unicycles? Just
I bet they have a
units of
concrete
transport?
podcast.
Boring.
Yeah. I have what I call car dyslexia. Any two cars that look anything alike, I cannot tell them apart. Which makes it difficult to find my own car, because I guess the design of my car is very popular in modern cars, so they all look like mine.
Sure.
It's very confusing.
But you got the beeper, the beep boop, right? That thing.
You don't have that problem when you only ever drive $300 cars from the fucking 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Like good old Endlet G.
Jeep Wrangler.
I can't I can't differentiate enough between cars to give a fuck about them. But
Yeah.
there was a period where, because my dad runs a dealership, he also doesn't give a fuck about cars. He just is good at selling them.
Mm-hmm.
But he hired a bunch of my friends, and
It's like you in anime.
somehow them starting to work with cars made them suddenly all about cars. All they talk about
They're
is
immersed in
cars
that
and
world,
shit.
sure. Mhm.
It was really strange. To see a bunch of otaku guys suddenly
Yeah.
become these huge car otaku and fucking always buying Forza games and listening to Initial D mega
Weird.
mixes and shit.
Well, the initial D thing is cool.
Yeah, they just got way into cars and they would talk about it all day. And I'm like, how can you even tell the difference between these fucking things?
My dad is sort of obsessed with cars. He's usually getting a new one, and he'll always have a nice car at our house, so he'll sell the old nice one, he'll buy a new nice one. He wants a constant rotation. It's like what brings him the most joy in life, so that's great. Yeah. And like after he retires, he's thinking of like working with a dealership in some way, becoming like an amateur salesman just to make a little money. But like he tells me these stories of, like when he was a little boy, I believe it was, he would sit with his grandpa like on like the edge of the road. They would watch cars come by, and like the grandpa would quiz him like based on the headlight shape of the cars. It'd be like, what car is that? And it was a game to see how quickly my dad could tell exactly what like model, make, year was the fucking car that was coming. And at some point he just completely fell in love with cars and is just super obsessed.
What pisses me off is that you can be that and people think that's like relatively normal.
Yeah, they do.
Same with sports. Like you can know this like insane autistic level of shit about cars, and people are just like, hey, it's just a car guy. If you know that shit about anime,
topics.
It's like, oh, I bet that guy's never gotten laid, you know?
Yeah,
like,
those are the socially approved topics for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's true, though.
Yeah.
Well, putting that aside.
Well, that's the reason. It's a self-perpetuating prophecy. Like the people who are like that with anime, they think of themselves as guys who, oh, I'm into something weird, you know. Whereas guys who are into cars don't have to think that, you know.
Everybody needs somebody who knows how to fix a car. You don't need somebody who knows what fucking K-On! Is.
I'm not talking about people who know how to fix a car. I'm talking about people who just memorize car shit.
Yeah,
because
like my
they
dad's
think
not
it's
really
cool.
much of a mechanic or anything. He's mostly just an appreciator of how cars look and shit.
Most car people don't know the first fucking thing, and they all think they do, but they don't know how to fix a fucking car, you know.
I'm a car person. I've been this whole time. It's a secret.
Yeah?
It's the most well-guarded secret of all time.
Tell me 3 things about a car that are true. Tell me 3. You can't do it.
Yes, guy who
do it.
Famous creator of the video "Fuck Cars," car person, Endless Jest.
Well, Nate, I
Shoot.
lied just now.
I lied 3 times.
It's
I lied.
It's about what we wish we knew. That's how you get farther in life. That's how you progress as a person. I love cars. I think they're cool. I deeply envy people who understand them and know about them. I watch like regular car reviews on YouTube. I watch Top Gear sometimes.
That guy's a fucking.
I look at cars that are for sale all the time and fantasize about being able to buy all the cars. If I had $1 million, I'd be the guy who just like goes bankrupt buying like 20 cars. You know, my dream in life, my ultimate goal in life is to someday own the blue Viper that I owned in Gran Turismo 3 when I was a kid. And that's what I've been working towards my whole life. That goddamn Gran Turismo 3 car. I want it.
I thought you wanted a Jeep Wrangler.
The Jeep Wrangler is but a stepping stone on my path to glory, Digi.
Add that to the wiki, folks. That's canon lore. All right. Well, there you go.
I like the Aztec that he drove in Breaking Bad.
You can do that. That's an achievable dream.
Yeah.
I think Cars is a terrible movie. I didn't watch it at all.
I think that Cars 3 is a step in the right direction after the terrible
Cars 2 is
2.
one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
I don't like it. Toy Story 3 was better.
Incidentally, Jesse mentioned regular car reviews. That guy's like, to me, like the Aesop Rock of YouTube. Like a guy who's like so high level that I can't even completely comprehend it. And I think that might, I don't know, I've never subscribed to him. I've only seen a couple of his videos, but he's like the most legitimate, like, he writes like a real classic journalist, like writing YouTube analysis videos. It's like his stuff like makes me feel weak. It makes me feel like I'm not doing enough. like I am not a good enough writer if this guy is out there,
or a good enough man because I don't have enough cars.
Exactly.
Cars are cool. I need to get my oil change.
Well, should we describe what car we drive? Maybe.
Sure.
Does the audience give a shit?
I drive a Honda Odyssey, a gold Honda Odyssey. There you go.
Nate drives an ancient
minivan.
piece of shit bus.
Yeah, it's a minivan.
I drive a 2015 BMW X1. Yeah.
You're just helping people out when they're on the quest to rob you because all your shit's in your car, did you?
Nothing's in my car. I bring it all in everywhere I go.
It's true. We got it protected.
Did nobody hear my car?
I heard. I heard you. I just got why you were playing that. I was just confused.
Okay.
Nuts and bolts.
I thought. Yeah. I thought nobody heard it. It's very strange.
Cars! Remember when JonTron was funny?
I remember.
Have we not had a Remember When JonTron Was Funny podcast
We should
yet?
do that.
We've definitely had more than enough JonTron complaining material.
I guess that's
on
true.
this podcast
I guess that's true.
and others.
Has anyone
Yeah, I
watched him
feel like the
recently? Oh wait, he's like on
PCP as a
hiatus now.
collective
Now
has,
that
like,
he's
certain like. We have certain like meta podcasts that have like slowly pieced themselves together inadvertently through like the Fuck Movie Bobcast. That's like 5 hours long, but it's never been made intentionally.
If you're a PCP fan who wants an excuse to listen back to every episode and find something creative to do with it, snip together every time we've talked about JonTron or Movie Bob or like anyone else we bring up all the time, and just make that a podcast.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Also, string together all the times that me and Digi privately in the car talked about Movie Bob with no microphones, because it's fucking hilarious.
Good idea.
Yeah,
it's like one of the only things
like
where
hundreds
Digi
of
loves
hours.
banging on about the same points that he's made 5 times before with like no update.
I just love shit talking people.
Yeah, and it's there's no need to hold back when you're not on fucking on the microphone.
Not that I would hold back on a microphone about Movie Bob anyways.
Well, sure.
Like there's just certain people who you just get latch onto, and it's like you just want to shit on them all the time.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
And Movie Bob's a big one for especially me and Devu, because we have a lot of the same problems.
But just to shit on JonTron one more time. Speaking of conciseness, I feel like there's some point to be made with his ridiculously slow upload schedule. Fuck you, JonTron. Yeah. Get your shit together. Be funny again.
Hey man, it takes him like a month to drive to that set. So anyway, Movie Bob, guys, I want people to bug me as much as possible to do the Game Overthinker PCP lecture, because I am the only one qualified to do it. And I think I could, and it's the only thing that I could do a lecture on. I only want to do it if enough people want me to do it, though. I'm not sure.
Okay. If you press.
Just spoiler alert,
Bob.
it will be just mean-spirited and bitter, no matter how hard I try not to be. It's not going to be funny like the other
he
ones.
is fat, so it's okay. Don't worry about it. Well,
are we still talking about the cars we drive?
Yeah.
I have a funny anecdote. I got the best car, which is also the worst car. I drive around in an old blue police car from the 70s or 80s.
Just like
Crown
Blues
Victoria.
Brothers.
Yeah, but like I don't have like insurance or like a license plate.
Oh.
And
wait,
so
what the
fuck? I've gotten pulled over a bunch of times, and now it's at the point where like all the cops recognize my car. Everyone knows it because I'm the only guy. I'm the only guy driving around in a fucking blue police car from the 70s. So I get pulled over every day, and I owe a lot of money to the courts for not having
stop
insurance.
doing that. You gotta get some fucking. Go down to the DMV.
I have to get to Tim Hortons, Nate. I have to get my donut in the morning and my coffee.
Stop.
When I put on my
insurance. I mean, Jesse,
when I put on my shoes, my donut
shit,
shoes.
Dude. Oh Jesus! You gotta stop.
I bought these new Adidas just to be my
Jesse,
donut shoes.
You're never
so
gonna
when
have
I put
your
on
blue
my donut
fucking
shoes in the morning.
You're never gonna get your goddamn blue Viper if you keep leaking money like this. You gotta get your shit together, dude.
I need my morning donut.
PCP fans also create a supercut impromptu meta PCP episode called Jesse Wood Generational Poverty.
Oh my god, that's great. Okay, we're done. That's it, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Subscribe
Hope you
to Monkey Jones.
Make sure you send us more questions so we can answer them. We will answer your question if you use hashtag AskPCP. So make sure you do that. Or you can well, no, I'm not going to tell you that because it doesn't matter. Go to our Twitter. At TP Crastinators, but don't send questions there. Use the hashtag. There you go, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Bonus episodes if you pledge $5 to our Patreon, patreon.com/theprocrastinators. Make sure you do all that.
What was the latest one? It just came out.
Oh, we just did a bonus
Remember,
episode.
you get access to all the bonus episodes that have happened.
All of them. All you gotta do is pledge one time, and you get them all. And last episode was Five Nights at Freddy's versus Chuck E. Cheese. Yes. If you want to hear the throwdown of the fucking century, Munchie lays some hot
the
verses
only
on
combinations I've ever heard of that are worse than this is fucking epic rap battles of history.
Yes, we aim for the bottom and we go even further. So thanks for listening, everybody. Go pledge to our Patreon if you want to hear that shit. And we will see you next week. Bye!
So long.
Help! Let me out! I'm supposed to be out right now. I'm supposed to